Okay, well, like we see Hawk, that it's out to Banishment Ordinance, the old talk there. When it's out to the wall, I come on top of the hunter or sector. Amen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us remotely if you're listening in. My name is Representative Emily Boyd-Valandra. I represent our primary community here on council. I'm also the chair of our Governmental Affairs Committee. We are meeting here today for two reasons. The first one, we're going to be reviewing the Banishment Ordinance changes potential. And also we will be having, gathering some input regarding a potential meth ordinance. So that's why we're gathered here today. I'll start out just a little bit. Today, the committee has asked that we open this up for public input. There are copies over here of the document that we can go over. When we do open it up for input, what we're really looking for is if you're in favor of something like this, if you're not in favor of something like that. So if you could please state that if you do give a statement today, if you please state your name and yes or no if you're in favor. And then if you would like to add any information, especially if there's any details as far as what parts you do agree with, what parts you don't agree with. Are we missing things? Are we missing the whole point? Those kind of things would be helpful. Like I mentioned, we will be giving you 3 minutes for that. If you feel like you would still, that wasn't enough time, after others have had time to talk and the floor is open back up, you can have another 3 minutes or additional time to talk. Anybody listening? We also have a comment email available at rst.comments@rst-nsn.gov. And so anybody who'd like to set in a written statement or written input, please use that email if possible. I'll also let the rest of the ladies introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see you all here. My name is To Tuan, and I'm Antelope Community Rep, and I sit on the Governmental Affairs Committee. Thank you guys for coming. Let's have some good energy today and come up with some good solutions to help the Oyate have a better life.
Good afternoon. My name is Liana Black Bear. I'm the Acting Director for Legislative Affairs, and I'll be monitoring the comments.
Is there anybody who doesn't have a copy of this code in front of them or who maybe would like us to read anything? The main issue I think that happened was the current banishment that we have existing, which is also over there on the table. It only is regarding non-tribal citizens. And so this new banishment ordinance, if approved, would also or could also be applied to our tribal citizens as well. If there are no specific questions right away, or if nobody would like me to read any of this, I will open it up for the floor if anybody would like to have the mic. Please raise your hand. Malia will be here today kind of keeping track on time and keeping us in line. Go ahead, sir, if you'd like to begin. Do you have a question or would you like to make a statement?
I had the girl read it for me, but there's some points of this doesn't make any sense. One is you put the Act of '89 in here, and although we lost Millette and Tripp, and Todd County is the only jurisdiction that we have, and people that live there as residents and members of this tribe. The 1868 treaty has a banishment clause, and I don't know if it's Article 1 or Article 2, but it mainly for white people that come on the reservation. In the old days, when the before it was a tribal council, it used to be treaty council. Before the 34 Act took over. And in there, our Lakota people, as supreme power, they used to banish people that were like weekdays and people that are thieves. You know, because of the close-knit communities we had, and those things were a very bad thing for our way of life. But, to banish a tribal member that is enrolled, you might have to word it so it doesn't infringe on their total rights. Of course, you know, maybe you can put it into the Constitution, like when we have elections, and put a section in there on banishment, but using the proper words. Some of these wordings don't sound proper to me. Maybe it's kind of like a white man writing this thing instead of tribal, tribal, the way we think. I mean, you know, we can't be following the state. Everything's state. We are a reservation. We're not a state. In fact, we're a nation within a state. So this tribe has to stay within our boundaries. You know, don't give the Washichus added, you know, ammunition to take advantage of us. So, you know, you want to do banishment, you know, hope you use proper words to, you know, especially for our members. I mean, I know, you know, this is the only home we know, but
So I didn't mean to cut you off there, but that's the timer.
oh yeah, I'm through.
If you have anything else, but for the record, could you state your name and if you feel comfortable saying if you are in agreement or not in agreement with this current?
I agree with it if the words are properly used.
Thank you. And would you state your name, please?
Decent son-in-law,
Thank you, sir.
member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe.
Okay, I was just wondering if animal community started the banishment or whatever, because you guys, you moved my son's mother-in-law's trailer out to the trash pile. You banished her from the community, or I don't know what you did, but I just wanted to talk about that because I was looking up the Constitution and it said in here that a person had right to due process. So I'm glad you got that on the paper where they have to go through due process. I mean, somebody is saying, you're doing this, this happened over there and all that, and you can't just take somebody's home and move it to the trash pile. I mean, that wasn't right. And then nobody's doing anything to help these people that are addicted to meth. I mean, everybody talks about it, and it's a statewide emergency, or whatever it is, but nobody's doing anything. And he's a representative, and I suggested that we try to, like, if they arrest people for drug charges and all that, that they should first send them for treatment or try to do something to help them, because these people are, if they're addicted to drugs, it's controlling them. They can't get out of it. It's like a sickness or an illness, and yet nobody's doing anything about the problem, and instead making them poorer and whatever they were poor in the first place. Then they don't have a home. So So I kind of didn't agree with that part of it all, and it said, it's a constitutional right, the right to due process. It says, this constitutional right ensures that individuals are treated fairly and have an opportunity to be heard before being deprived of their rights or property. And that's in the Constitution. Okay, and it said, the right to due process is explicitly mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. It appears as a clause within the Fifth Amendment and 14th Amendment. These amendments ensure the government cannot deprive someone of life, liberty, property without due process of the law. Okay, so that's the part that I always kind of talk about. Because the lady that owns the house said nobody talked to her about moving her house out and stuff. And she said that all her kids' grandkids' birth certificates and social security, everything was in there. And I asked her if she talked to anybody. She said no, she doesn't have a phone, she doesn't have a car. And you know, drug is a big problem, especially in the adult community. And yet nobody's doing anything, and instead you're banishing them, taking away their home. Like I don't agree with that at all, is what I was going to say. My grandpa is like there too. When I was born, he was the tribal president. And my dad's sisters are Hills Inside and Walking Eagles. So I'm related to a lot of people. And I'm sure that they're not going to agree to be having people banished and their property taken away and stuff like that.
Thank you for your statement. Would you mind giving your name so we can record it to our official statement that you were against?
Okay, Flora Black Bear Bear Hills.
Thank you very much for the record. Is there anybody else who'd like to give a statement? Or comment? If you do, we just ask that you state your name and if you are in favor or against this, and then you're allowed to speak and give comment.
Hello, my name's Kelly Lafferty and I'm for the banishment because for 2.5 years I lived on the next door neighbor to the family that was banished. And it was 2.5 years of hell. My grandkids couldn't go outside and play. There was constant gun shootings, stabbings, machetes, kids getting chained. I seen it, I witnessed it. Girls being held hostage in that trailer. I seen that. Girls getting raped outside. I seen that also. But I am for the banishment because my grandma told me long time ago when we were a loving, caring tribe, the Chleche ones got moved to Bad Nation. And that's why we have a Bad Nation. She said they asked for the removal of the not wanted ones. So that's why we have a Bad Nation. And another thing I'm having a hard time with is there's no consequences for these people. They go to jail for 2-3 days and the courts let them out and they're back that evening doing their little dirty work. And it's kind of like jug hall in high school. You didn't have a choice. If you were bad, you went to jug hall. That was it. There was no questions asked. But with this management, we need to remove the bad people. I mean, I'm a grandma, I'm a mom, and it hurts my heart to say that. But if you got a sack of bad potatoes, you throw out the rotten potato. But I am for banishment because I do believe that in order for our families to unite, like Gloria said, we need to get rid of the drugs. We need to get rid of the bootleggers. We really need to start helping our younger adults because they have nothing. The tribe offers them nothing. So I'm kind of on a two-bladed sword. where we gotta banish them so we can live safe, but then on the other hand, my grandma heart says we gotta help them. In my heart, I am for the banishment because it does work. I've heard it work in other reservations. And by the time they get to the banishment, there should be documentation on how many times they've already been to jail. You just don't banish somebody for getting drunk and raising hell one time. You gotta put up a pattern where this family is just cliquey. They're not being good neighbors. They're not being good family members. And working in the school system, I've seen what meth does to our families. It's killing them. That's why we have no families. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That's why our families are hurting. It's because of the meth. When a kid wears the same clothes to school all week, you know something's going on at home. But I'm for banishment. And I think Antelope's doing a damn good job of trying to help. They took the bull by the horn and we're gonna go for it. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Please state your name, make your for and against, and then your comment.
Hello, my name is Shannon Burrow, and I am for the banishment. I am from Antelope community. We went into legislative affairs a couple weeks ago. You guys gave us this. There's some things that need to be added on here, and I did state that in that meeting that day. So on letter B, it says person means individuals who is not a citizen of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. That needs to be taken out of there. It needs to say is a citizen of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. Because the guys came back and told us that that the banishment, what you guys have in play now, does not include tribal members. So we need to include that language in there stating that it's for tribal members on there. Then letter C, we added a number 5. And 5 is a criminal, what did I say? Violent crimes identified under the law of the Rosebud Sioux tribe or by federal or state law. And that includes bodily injury, murders, everything under that Violent Crimes Act.
Thank you for bringing that up, Shannon. I just want to, I apologize, I wasn't at that meeting. So some of the notes that were taken there weren't incorporated into this new draft.
Yeah,
So those will be included along with anybody else's.
because when we talked about it that day, I thought they wrote it down, or they put it in record, right?
Yes.
So then I thought it was gonna be on this one, but this is the same one that they gave us that day, so I just wanna make sure that that wording gets in there, because if we're gonna pass it, then we need to make sure the right wording is all in there.
I agree with you. Thank you for that.
But those are the only other concern that I had was this going through the prosecutor's office. It states in here that you guys have, like, once a complaint is done for banishment, it goes to the prosecutor's office. My concern is the prosecutor's office already has a caseload. You know, when are they gonna have time to look into these complaints about banishment? Another thing is we also need to set a time frame in there somewhere stating once a banishment claim comes in, they have, say, 60 days to on it. Then there's another part where it says on each 10A-9 under letter A, it says a violation shall be punishable with fine up to $5,000. I think that needs to be stricter, and I think it needs to go to 10 if they violate the law and come back on the reservation. And that's all I have. I just want to make sure this gets in the right one when you guys further on to the second reading and stuff.
Thank you for that. I have a note that we will definitely have, because there was other, input and amendments and things that we changes that aren't in this, so
Yeah.
those will all be updated.
Okay,
There's also questions about like age limit and things like that, and so,
yeah. Thank you.
yes. Before we go back to you, is there anybody else who would like their 3 minutes? Okay, sir, go ahead.
My name is Sihan Michosh, and I missed most of this meeting, but I'm catching up here a little bit. Just over a general glance of what you have so far, it's not very specific in regards to like removal and exclusion and banishment. I'm reading like the $5,000 fine, etc., but it's not really detailed as far as I think it would be. Something like this would be helpful. What I have here is something I've drawn up. It's a little different than what you have, but with the same intent and spirit. For example, we should have different classes of removal and exclusion and banishment. We should have a section for lifetime banishment for certain crimes of any person convicted of drug trafficking for any amount. Any person convicted of human trafficking or identified as confirmed leaders of gangs or criminal organizations. Any person convicted of assaulting a law enforcement officer of the courts that results in serious bodily harm or results in the transmission of disease, virus, or medical condition that results in permanent disfigurement. This includes lifetime removal from any trust land, property, buildings, and land belonging to the Rosebud Sioux tribe, lifetime removal from community roles, lifetime removal from tribal enrollment, removal and exclusion from any tribal housing, community, tribal services, benefits, or services offered to tribal members. I know I can't say everything in 3 minutes, but I have a section for a 5-year removal for people who participate in certain crimes, and a 10-year removal. The justification, obviously, is the reason why we're sitting here. We have a problem with meth, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, human trafficking, gangs, et cetera, et cetera. And in our cultural history and our legal foundation, it's always been the right of the tribe to maintain peace and order by removing anything that's disturbing the circle. So in regards to banishment, I know this is just a hearing exclusively for banishment, but we also need other things such as legal framework updated to our constitution, bylaws, and ordinance codes and policies. And this includes ensuring that we do have civil rights and a process is followed to where when a banishment is order is issued, everything was done, all the checks were done, and everything was maintained in regards to civil rights. The other thing we need to do is a creation of a removal and exclusion board. I had the experience in the past with the prosecutor trying to have someone removed, a non-tribal member, and it went nowhere. I could not get them to budge on anything. So it showed me that it's up to the discretion of one person, and that needs to stop. We have just so much going on. We need a board of people to look at each case so it's looked at objectively, not subjectively. In closing, they say a nation is defeated when the last child has fallen to the ground. Our children have fallen. We must accept responsibility as a nation and move forward. We must sacrifice now so our tribe lives on, so our children can be safe. I have a lot more to my closing statement, but I realize I only have 3 minutes. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that, sir. And if we do have more time in the allotted hours after everybody else has had them, you can stay more if you have more.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And just real fast for the record, did you state your name and if you were for or against?
Sorry, my name is Sihan Michosh. I'm a Rosebud community member, and I am for this removal, exclusion, and banishment.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Melinda, I saw you first, and then you next.
Good afternoon, I'm Melinda Yoigo from Antelope Community. I am for the banishment. I'm here to speak on behalf of Antelope Community. We did we did get a, motion to move forward on this banishment. So, and we did work together on trying to help with the amendments to the banishment code. So we did sit here at that governmental affairs meeting as directed by council. So I just want to go on record that I am speaking on behalf of Antelope community, authorized to, so we are for the banishment code. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Stevie? Hello, my name's Stevie White, and I'm from the home community. I am for this banishment, but I do want to say something about it, is that as a tribe and as a community, we should never have came to this point with this banishment. If we were good relatives, we would have told our relatives that are in the wrong. We would have helped correct that problem long ago, like we did in the past. And today, a lot of our relatives are lost. A lot of them are on drugs. We have a lot of relatives that are young, that are my age, even before 50, that are dying because of alcoholism. And we're not trying to help them. We just look the other way. And we need to stop doing that. We need to stop looking away from our relatives doing bad. You know, I had a relative that was doing bad, and I went and I fought for my relative. Yeah, it was hitting brick wall after brick wall, but I fought. I went to the courts. I did everything in my power to help him. And you know what? He did come home, and he did straighten up. And it's not an easy road with addiction. It's not, because I go through it every day. But if we were good relatives and we taught our other relatives right and wrong from the very get-go, instead of making these excuses for them, we wouldn't have to worry about banishing our own members. So that's what I want to tell the public. Stop looking the other way and start helping your relative. If they're having trouble, get over there and help them. Listen to them. Find the resources to help them. We shouldn't have to come to council chambers. We shouldn't have to call the PD. We shouldn't have to go to IHS and ask for all this help when it's our own family. It starts within our family, within ourselves. But I am for this banishment, because once we do this, then it's going to set a tone for the rest of our tribal members. And that, you know, we're done hiding with this mess. We're going to start fighting it. We're going to start fighting these alcoholism problems. We're going to start being there more for our kids. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Yes. Go ahead. Please state your name, if you're for or against it, and then you can leave a comment.
Okay, my name is Rita Big Crow, and I'm for the banishment. Ever since I moved back to reservation, and I see a lot of violence and a lot of rape going on there, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and we report it, but nothing's ever been done. Some of these families were banished from the community, but they moved back in, and they're doing the same thing that they've been doing, and it's scary over there. And I'm the elder, and I live out west, but my daughters are alcoholic, you know, and she gets beat up uptown, and it's bad, you know, and I don't know if St. Francis condones, you know, the raping and the beating, and when we go to meeting, nobody ever comes, you know, and try to speak up. It's scary. I'm not scared because I'm a fight for my kids. And, you know, some of the people that come, they just come, listen to see who's going to, what they say, you know, they gossip, and they say, well, I'm there, I don't care, I'm going to fight for it. Because I'm scared for myself too. I've been threatened by some of these people that are doing that. When they're coming and make me and beat me up too. You know, and something's got to be done. And, you know, I am for banishment too. Which things?
Anybody else? I don't see any other hands. Kelly, would you like to go? Oh, real fast, sorry, Marcita had her hand up.
I already did. Oh, you did? This is my second round. This will be my second round.
So we're, banishment?
Yep, on banishment, and I apologize that, I don't know if you have the right copy, but there's a, exhibit 1 is what it says on top. There's some changes that need to be made to it, but that's the draft that we have for you to review today. But so we're just asking people in general if you could state your name and if you're for or against banishment, and then if you have any specific comments.
Oh, okay. All right. My name is Rosebud and I thought long and hard about this, the banishment, and there's a part of me that think that maybe the banishment may work. But when I was thinking about that, I thought about my own personal safety and just things that happen in my family, and I thought, geez, banishment would just be the right way to do it so that we can be rid of the problem or issue, whatever. But I thought about it more and more, and I just had to come down and just give my humble opinion. I think as a tribe, I felt that Sioux country belongs to Sioux people. It's always been that way. And yes, there are some terrible things that's been done in our land by outsiders as well as our own relatives. More and more I think about it, we have a lot of programs, we have law and order. We have all those things that can make a difference. I don't know why we are where we are today, because we're still struggling with this, with the violence. We're still struggling with all these things. And so as a people, I really think we seriously, we need to look at that and find out why it's not working. Because we do have programs that are charged with dealing with all these things. So having thought that, I just think that we tend to jump into things right away on a personal, when something happens to our families, our children, our relatives, right away we want to do that. I did, but I just think that we need to take some small steps, because we're looking at pushing a tribal member off this land. And to me, banishment means they can never come back. We're all somehow related. I just think that we need to take small steps. So with that, my thinking is that if Black Pipe wants to banish somebody that lives in our community, out of respect for that person's relatives who probably live all over Sichanga country, I would rather the community, like Black Kite, for example, I'd rather have, give that authority to Black Kite to banish that particular person. Because it might be so where another community wouldn't mind having a place open for that person. I know it sounds like we're passing the buck, so to speak, and I know, you know, that thought probably entered people's mind, but my thinking is that if you banish someone from another community, my thinking, and I don't know how my relatives in Black Pipe were their thoughts, but this is just my own personal thinking, is that I'd hate for anyone from here to be banished and then not find a place to go. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to live? By allowing other communities, they want to open up their borders for this person, I think we should let them do that. Relatives, I have relatives all over who would probably be willing to take a relative of mine in because they're banished from Black Kite. And the people that commit serious crimes, the law enforcement, federal, or even state will take them. They'll probably be in jail for a long time. And so maybe when they come back, that's a different thing, you know, but I just think that each community, they choose to banish somebody, then I think that's their prerogative. But I don't think the whole tribe should be part of that. So again, I understand how it feels to be a victim. I know how it feels. Back then, I used to think, oh my God, I would have been 100% for this at that time. But today, I'm really thinking about that because once we pass laws here, then it's going to happen. And someone's going to get hurt. Maybe not that person, but somebody, mother, or grandmother, or grandfather, someone's going to hurt, or their children, someone's going to get hurt. And they're going to be homeless after right out there. I know for there was a young man that came back from prison, and he didn't have any place to go. There was no room at the shelter. And so I told him, I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna look for a tent for you, and you take that tent and you pitch it up anywhere you want to. All this is, you're part of this land. You're Sichanga. This has got your name on it too. So you get that tent and you pitch it up wherever you want to. They have to live somewhere. So that's where my heart is coming from. I don't want to disrespect anybody in here. Everybody has their concerns, and rightly so. But these are my opinion. I just think we need to think very carefully, think about the future, and do it just step by step. Don't have the whole tribe be involved if Black Pipe wants to banish somebody. That's fine. Just all the communities, we all have our own bylaws. I mean, we have our own organized. We're organized as communities, and so that's my suggestion.
Thank you for that. Anybody else?
3 minutes.
Okay, Kelly, go ahead.
On this, very first page for this new banishment ordinance, under 3, 5, well, it would be 6. I'd like to mention firearms, because it is really shocking if you guys knew how many young kids are carrying guns. I mean, I see cars go by my house all the time showing me guns, and it's just scary. So I think we should put something in there about illegal firearms with the serial numbers filed off or stolen guns or something. We've got to get rid of, if they're on meth and with the firearm, they have make up your muscles. So I think we need to include something to do with firearms if they're arrested maybe. But it is, our young high school, 25-year-olds, it's shocking how many firearms are out there. Thank you. And I'll shut up because I think I said a whole bunch. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, under where it says, territory, person, property affected, I think, included should be someone who is convicted of fraud and embezzlement of any tribal entity. Okay? The other thing is, all these leaders that are going for banishment, you know, I want to know what you've done for the people that are addicted to meth. If you ever done anything besides, you know, helping your own family and helping yourself, because I know a lot of care people to the communities that don't help anybody. They only help themselves. So if you're wanting people banished that have problems, you know, with drugs and stuff, I mean, we need to know, like, what they're doing to help them.
Thank you.
I would like to say something.
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Marie Claremont, and I'm from the Rosebud community. And at first, when I first came in here, I thought of, I was for the banishment. And I really don't know which way to go because all of our families on the Rosebud Reservation was affected by this meth. Every single family was affected. I know mine was. And when you have several children that is affected by it, it's really, really hard, really hard. And you deal with addiction. You deal with that addiction because that addiction of meth is so evil. It's really evil. And I know because I experienced it with my kids. And it's sad. It's sad because, you know, we're Lakotas. We're all relatives and we have to take care of each other no matter what. We can't just push our kids away because those are ours. Those are my children. And so I worked with them for years and years and years. And it sometimes I wanted to give up. I would cry all the time because I was going through so much with my children. And what we need to do is we need to get them help. We have a meth unit up there. We have a treatment center there. We have mental health. We need to, we're not doing as a tribe, we're not doing enough to help them. And so somewhere along the way, we failed. We failed in that way. We failed them and we failed ourselves and our relatives. And that's how I see it. Now, this is my own opinion. We struggle every day, all the time, whether it's with our grandkids, our own children, our other relatives, guns, alcohol, meth, whatever drugs on the reservation, we struggle with that. I think that what we need to do is we really need to look into the people that it affected before we start banishing them. Really look into their history of breaking the law, you know, getting them arrested for selling it, you know, whatever they're doing while they're on it, before we start, you know, banishing them, because everybody has their rights. And so when I read this, I think we really need to get more input legally before that decision is made. I also think that we need to use these programs that are federally funded to help this meth crisis, alcohol crisis, whatever is going on our reservation, because right now I have a daughter that I sent to Minnesota. Why? Why did I have to send her to Minnesota to get treatment? We have a treatment center here. We have a meth unit. We have a detox center. I would take her over there every day before 9 o'clock. And then they'll call me at 2 o'clock. Can you come and get her? She's having withdrawals. She's having DTs. What am I supposed to do? How come that facility wasn't open 24/7 when it first opened? And then it's like you have to take care of them 24/7 when they're coming off of their addiction. You have to constantly be there. I know because I witnessed it. I was there. And why do we have these facilities if we're not using them? Why are they up there? Did anybody even check to see how much members we have in those facilities? How much do we have? Are they overcrowded every session? I don't know, but I went over there. I asked for help. I had to ask for help. I had to beg them to help my daughter because I didn't want to lose my daughter. I already lost a daughter. I did not want to lose my daughter. I would go and I would look for her every day to see where my daughter was. And I worked and I took care of grandkids. Why are we taking care of our grandkids? Why are we doing all of their what they're supposed to be doing? We never lived like that. This never was like this. We lost control somewhere. It all went. We can't blame anybody because we should go back to our culture and pray and do what we did long time ago, our ancestors. We're losing all of that. I work right now for a grant, and I administer a grant for cultural stuff, and I wish I had more people because we do classes all the time. I'm teaching them how to do things. The other day I had a whole bunch of little tiny girls, 7 years old to 11 years old, and I taught them how to sew, and they were just sewing. We need more people like that out there. We need more people when they come into the door, smudge them, because you don't know what was going on the night before. We don't know if they're being fed or anything. Instead, we're right there to judge somebody. We can't be doing that. We gotta help them. We gotta help everybody because they need help. They're crying out for help. We can't just let them go. They're our relatives. I went through this for years and years and years, and with this meth addiction, it's so evil. It's so evil that you have to keep on them all the time. You have to keep supporting them. They need that support. Everybody needs to support them because it is bad. And I want this banishment to happen, but let's do it right. Let's look into did we get them help? Did they go to treatment? How many times were they in jail? How many times did they commit a violent crime? We have all of these kids carrying guns. I went out to Ola Rent Housing to go visit my kids, and there was a group of like 10 boys coming out, and they all had a weapon. Every single one of them had a weapon. So we have that going on. Thank you. Did I say my name? Okay, thank you.
In the back. If you can come forward, maybe by Archie or find a mic here, and then just state your name, if you're for, and then you can leave your comment. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Rose Leading Fighter. This is very hard for me because I've been through a lot with me and my grandkids. I'm for the banishment too. I'm for what this lady here said just now. We need those buildings to help our families that are on meth, drugs, whatever, to help them. To help them heal. We don't have that. And I see a lot of them. The terrifying part is I see somehow they act and whatever, but I never seen how they could really be in our meth. I see a little person had red eyes. His mouth was all red. It was scary. Next time I seen him, he had red eyes and black mouth. That was even scary. And I was trying to think of who I could think of, how he reminded me of. And it came into my head, it was like, remember that movie of Batman, remember that Joker guy? It was scary, kind of looked like that. This lady said, did he look like he was a devil or something? Like, oh yeah. And my grandkids are scared. They don't want to be around nobody like that. And I'm trying to prevent that because I don't want our next generation to start going through this. We want something done. Need something done. I see this, I go over to Mission, I got a grandbaby over there. She's 6 years old. And I worry about her. There's people shooting out guns and doing drugs over there. And then over at Parsley, got people trying to do things over there, breaking into people's places just to get money to do drugs or whatever. I've been trying to get a light at my corner where I live at because it's dark back there, but can't do anything. It's so hard. When I see stuff like that, it just brings back on what I see, and it's my body just starts shaking. So it'd be nice if they could use those facilities to help these guys. That could change.
Anybody else?
One of the ladies is talking about, you know, they have that, treatment center and they have the detox center. One time I took my granddaughter to quick health detox, but they only had it for 4 hours. And then she left and she was back there drinking or whatever she was doing. Well, 2 days ago, I committed my daughter. I went to the courthouse and I did a lot of things to get her to commit her. While I was doing that, I was waiting. They let her go from the ER, even though it's been court. And so I called the courts and I said, well, so I called the police department and I said, I thought you said you were going to get help. Well, it's up to her to leave, you know, and even though it's the courts, I said, okay. So I was told to go back up to the courthouse and get custody of her. And she's back housekeeping already. And I said, I was frustrated on that. Why didn't they do the assessment? And why didn't they tell her to detox? Because she had mental issues, because, you know, she's harming herself, you know, and so I went to the courthouse and I said, what else do you do? Well, the judge is not in today. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to withdraw my okay, or whatever I need to do. You know, as I'm trying to get my detox, and don't let it go, and let the help of me go to assessment, nothing. You know, so my daughter's back out to the streets again, and it's frustrating. You know, and one time the blue figures, you know, you guys want to talk to my daughter, I'm telling you, I don't care who you are, my relative, I don't care. Because, you know, you're not only killing my daughter, but you're killing other people too, young kids. It's frustrating because, you know, I'm elderly and, you know, that's my daughter and I can't. I tried to send her treatment and she just goes over, but I'm most scared of the withdrawals. I tell them PR and every time she goes, we treat her bad. So she wants something. I don't know about IHS and detox and I kind of how to do it.
Can I say something? Last time. I withdraw the thing about the banishment. Because I thought the banishment went with meth and all that. They sell meth and they get caught with the banishment. If it's banishment by itself, I'm against that. Secondly, we have a police department here. My God, if they can't do nothing, man, might as well bring BIA back. I mean, why do we have a police department that can't stop the drug people and all that? And hell, we have a judicial system, they should be sitting here. And the other thing that you have to think about, like the state and tribe, they have laws for running you up. The state does. I remember Rapid City ran some people out of their county. here, the Stonemans were run out of here back in the 70s. Then they got this floater. This floater, you know, they banish you for 1, maybe 5 years. They should bring that back. And we got, you know, those things that we can follow, you know, instead of using stupid words like banishment. Banishment is just for meth and sellers and stuff. Or if it's just by itself, you might as well go vote for Trump.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Stevie. Oh, Stevie, real fast. There's two that raise their hands that haven't talked. Can they go first? Okay, thank you. Ma'am, you first and then back when she's done.
Okay.
If you could just state your name. If
Janet.
You're for or against it, and then you can leave a statement.
Well, in a way, I'm for it, but then I think that there should be more in that section 810A7. Issuance of banishment. Is it only 30 days that this individual will be banished from the reservation? Or is it more than 30 days? Is it like a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, forever?
Well, it has to be posted.
Because the seriousness of the things that are happening here on the reservation, including what had happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then meth and all of that. And it's getting very serious. It has been since I remember in 2006, around there, it started with meth. And everybody talks about it, but nothing is being done. It's serious here on the reservation. Like the lady said, and the ones that probably spoke up, they're afraid. I'm afraid. I live right off the highway across from Allstop. And there's still people walking up and down the road. They even have the law enforcement on me because my dogs, they chase them away. I'd rather have my dogs loose than have them tied up and have those people away from my house. But I would say you guys would probably need to put more than just 30 days. I think in the past they had, St. Francis had one family banished from St. Francis and they could never go back to St. Francis. I'm not too sure, but I know they weren't there for a while. And what about Cheyenne River? They have that banishment order in place, and I don't know how many years they have that. And that's due to meth too. So maybe you need to reconsider the section 810A7.
Thank you.
And then if there's any other things pertaining to incidents that happen, then it should immediately come before the council where the council can act on it immediately to have them banished from the reservation. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that comment. And I just wanted to clarify something. 30-day that's listed here is like the 30-day notice that it has to be posted. The way it's stated in this draft is that banishment would be permanent. However, in conversations at council and conversations in committee, as well as here today, there have been suggestions that it not be always permanent, like that might be an option depending on, whatever caused for the banishment, but that's not set in stone yet unless it's passed as is. So that's one of the things that we're kind of specifically asking for your input in is, are you okay with this as is? Because in this draft of it, it states that banishment is permanent. However, like I mentioned, there have been suggestions to do options, maybe not everything would be permanent. We have asked to review other tribes or other tribal nations ordinances regarding similar issues. So we will be, looking at those and reviewing those in the process as we move this along also. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that the 30 days was not the length of the banishment. This draft actually states that banishment would be permanent if it passes as is. Okay, I think we have somebody in the back. Okay, there you are. If you would just find the mic close to you and state your name, if you're for or against, and then.
You don't need a mic to talk.
Okay, it's more meant for the record, it's recording it as official, thank you. It doesn't amplify in any way.
My name is Heather Walking Bull. I'm from Rosebud. I am for the meth because this has been going on many years. I moved back to the reservation to help my mother because she was addicted due to meth when she was handicapped. And there's people in here that their family's been selling drugs for years, over 20 years. And this has been going on for years, even when I was a kid. So, and I came back and helped my mom get her house back. Archie can vouch for that. And you know, there's so much meth that goes on around. It's not just meth. Plus the sexual predators. I encountered a sexual incident. Many know. I've been trying to remove someone from our community. Many know I defended my house, my property, my children. There's several meth dealers in our community in low rent. And it starts here too. Council, it starts here in your tribe. There's a lot of people that are on drugs, do drugs, that start, look at your old council before you. I'm against meth. I've been against meth for many years because I do have a family member that's been on drugs, a brother that came when my mom died. I'm a nurse. I helped him. He could have died from having withdrawals. He tried to go get help. The tribe wouldn't help him detox, you know, and because of family members putting him on drugs, being on drugs with them for over 20 years. And he worked in our IHS. So what happens then? Well, people brush it under the table. Well, I'm not scared of nobody. I can defend myself and I can back up my mouth. And I have evidence. I have pictures of people. People tell me so many things out there, and I am on the murder missing indigenous. My daughter actually went missing recently because of all this kind of drug stuff like this, you know. And it doesn't just start here. It starts at home. And you can't help anybody, no matter what you got to do. There's people out there selling, kids selling, people are trading their kids. You know, I work for the ambulance doing all this kind of stuff, work for the medical field. It's sad. Very, very sad that our kids are getting traded out there. It breaks my heart. And look how many murders are going on. I recently had a nephew that was murdered. And I'm very angry because this shouldn't be happening. Hiding meth dealers. How is it okay for a director to get your child locked up? Oh, it's okay to let him out. Are you a snitch? Are you working for the feds? Are you working with the feds? Or what's going on? What's really going on? And what about our police force? They're not saints either. And I'm very angry. I talk to totes all the time. But I have to humble myself because I get very, very angry. And this shouldn't be happening. That park down there that we made, my son's stuff was vandalized down there. And he was murdered here. And you know, it's sad. Just because people don't like people, yeah, I'm outspoken. I brought the news here before. And I'll do it again. Because it shouldn't take deaths for this to happen. For people to open their eyes. And I'm related to mostly everybody in here by blood, by my mom. And you know, it's sad. It's been going on for many, many decades. And it doesn't stop. It's getting worse. I was against that PSG that comes here. Because that's a gateway to drugs. We got a dealer that just moved across the street from my house. And what about the child molesters, the pedophiles? That too. My kids cannot go outside because I will defend them. I will go to jail for them. I will go to prison for them. And a person tried to come to council and have me put away because defending my family, my property. What it is in the bylaws, you cannot go in someone's house and do stuff, but I will do it. A lot of people know, you know, this is scary. People shouldn't live in fear. Bad enough you have the schools have to have a security over there. check lockers, check everything, because there's drug dealers in communities. Their parents are bringing drugs in. Parents are having their children sell. 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds. That's scary. And it's okay for your children to get high, to sit there and get high with your kids. You know, it don't, a lot of people send me so many stuff, I don't even know what to say. I have to talk to Archie sometimes. Or I talk to Totes. Because there's only a little bit of us, only a handful of us that can do so much, that are against all this, trying to make a change, trying to make a difference. When everybody, no matter what you say, everybody has a past. Oh, that person was a drug dealer, that person was this, that person was that. You know? And it's not okay. There's so many people out there that are on drugs. You can't even shake anybody's hand because you don't know if they're high, if it's going to get you high. Because sweating and stuff, if you're high, you're going to get that on you too. And it's sad. People are, we just went through so many deaths in our family just recently, and people were coming high. But we still had to let them in because they still need to be fed. Homeless, so many homeless people on the streets, so many. Look at all the people that got evicted. I got a brother right now on the streets, homeless. People living and Hawkeye try to help him. No matter what we do, we try to help them. We can't. You could only do so much. It's pretty scary out there. How these drugs just affect people, and no matter what you do, no matter, people are still bringing in drugs. People are still sending me stuff, sending me messages. You text those messages, what's going to be done? All that, they made an epidemic about it now, but after my nephew got murdered, did it take that for them to open their eyes? That happened? How many more murders is it going to take for someone to realize this is what's going on here? How many more murders? Those signs down there should tell you. Every day that should be a reminder of what's going on in our tribe. How about women getting murdered, raped, killed that they don't tell? They don't want to tell. Like, we have a murdered person missing still. Someone missing, everywhere. Every day we get things sent to us. And we could only do so much. And I tell Totes, this is going on, this person needs help. Every day there's hundreds of people. I don't even want to look at my phone sometimes because I'm scared. Who's it going to be now? Who's it going to be next? And if you don't help them, they get mad. Or talk smack about you on Facebook. Say stuff about you on Facebook. Because I can't help you with the $100 today. I can't help you with your lights. You know, it's sad. It's scary. And the same people come down here over and over and get help. There's lists. People keep track, you know. And people sell their food stamps, sell their everything to get these drugs. So I hope that all these get taken care of. Not just the meth, but the sexual predator too, because...
Real fast, I hate to interrupt you, but we just want to make sure, because you're given record or testimony or the hearing today, but this one going on right now has to do specifically with the banishment ordinance. So I'm just wondering if you could state yes or no for that.
Yes, I want it to be banishment, but I want it more than 30 days, because a long time ago, I did get someone banished from our community, and that did happen, and it was 5 years. And this was probably like when I was 18, so I know it's possible. And that was because they had guns then, a rifle, see? And they had shut-offs and all that, see? And that was a long time ago. Now it's scary.
If there's anybody else that would like to give comment today, we're running out of time here. And just a reminder, 3 minutes, and that's what the little timer is that goes off in the background.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to me, and I hope things get done.
Thank you so much for that comment. Archie, did I see your hand go up or somebody?
Yeah. Just want to speak a bit. My name is Archie Brown. I'm with Family Community. Today I wanted to come down and be involved in this as a community member, just to give some input on it. But I did have that $10,000 mark as a fine, and it was said, and I agree with that it should be stricter on fines. When it comes to banishment, I have to agree with some of the members here that we should have a step-by-step to the banishment. I mean, you really think about it, healing process and addiction, there's got to be a process there to where we can actually sit them down and get that help they need. I was thinking about the meth treatment up there, and as far as I know, last year, from what I heard, was it wasn't up and going. So I don't know if it's up and going today, if there's services being offered from there. But about this banishment, I mean, when you got habitual offenders going on in your community, I think it should involve like the community officers too, because they hear a lot about what's going on within the communities. And there should be a process involved with the community representatives, including, the chairman, vice, whatever. And when it's not an habitual offender that gets banished, it should be a case by case. When somebody's murdered on tribal land within a community, the community officers, and I commend Antelope doing it, but they should have what they did, the ability to remove somebody in those cases. It's unfortunate, but when I say habitual, it's because not just that house, every house, and there's other issues in the communities, but need to consistently report issue after issue after issue until somebody gets killed on the property. That's a big fail. I think that we need to, have more community involvement for situations like that. So I would really like to see the community representatives being involved somewhere in this and have it on a case by case somewhere down the line. Back in 2014, they did this. I sat here with council and we had there was a state of emergency. We did try to banish it. We did and started testing the methamphetamine. My question is, since 2014, what really did happen? What really did change here on Rosebud? Absolutely nothing. We still got kids running around in fear. We still got kids running around loose, causing fear. We got elders sitting at home scared. We have elders walking around fear. We got people living in homes that don't even want to look out the window. And we have people that won't come here because they're scared. Methamphetamine is a huge issue when you have somebody on it within your community, because it brings guns and violence and it brings threats. It's a scary community issue. So, am I for banishment? Yes, to an extent. But I think that it needs to be broader with the step-by-step. And if it's a murder or something like that in the community, then yes, I am for banishment. It's a choice. And again, I would just like to see more help given to the community, especially our youth. It's a shame that we came to this. It's coming to this again. But a lot of us adults in this room and out there listening, we have to have some accountability too. We said before, we failed, we're failing. And I just think that we need to start stepping it up a little bit more. And I really would like to see that meth place up there running. I'd really like to have, if I got a family member on methamphetamine and I want to take them to get help, I should be able to take them up there and be welcome, be listened to. And I don't know about this assessment process. I've seen it before and it's a process. But I'd really like it to where we can actually get our people in there, assessed, and stay there until they can actually get an answer for them, for the families, if they need it or if they don't need it. Something's got to be fixed up there for that. Well, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
I have one more thing.
Okay, 1 second. We have somebody over here who hasn't spoken. Thank you.
My name is Travis Leadingcloud. For the record, I want to say that I support banishment. With that said, I want to say that we have had a loss in our family recently, and when that happens, you feel like you have nowhere to go. You feel like you have no outlet. You wonder who's supporting. You wonder what's going on. is there an avenue out there? So I support that banishment. I think there should be provisions in there. I think it needs to be revised. That one document doesn't provide a lot of solutions there, but it's a start.
Marie. There's one thing I wanted to share with all of you about our resources because I went through this. We were talking about our rights as tribal members. Okay, so when I was going through a situation, I went to that courthouse. There's a substance abuse. It's called substance abuse, like a complaint. So same thing as mental health. So I went in there and I filed for my relative on a substance abuse to get picked up. They told me, okay, it's substance abuse. We're gonna put it in the court system. There's a process. You got 72 hours to pick them up, take them to IHS, get them evaluated. When I received the paperwork where the judge approved of that, on my paperwork said mental illness. There's a difference between substance abuse and mental illness. So I was upset and I went to the ER when my relative was taken over there. And the nurses and the doctors said, well, this is mental illness. I said, it's supposed to be substance abuse. I need something for substance abuse. We're fighting for substance abuse. Anyways, my relative got to walk out of the ER. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong, go ahead, go. So I went back to the courts. Do it again. Keep doing it until something else. So I was in there every week filing the same paperwork. I was calling treatment center. I was calling health admin. And the one thing that they told me was that person has rights and they can refuse this care. They can refuse going to treatment. They have to come in and do this assessment. And I was so frustrated because this meth alters your mind. So how can you consider somebody in the right state of mind to make that decision? That's what was so frustrating because they say, well, they have rights. So the second time my relative ended up in the ER, I fought with the clinical psychologist over the phone because I was listed as the next of kin, but I was told I couldn't go in there because he said, no, I don't want nobody in here. I don't want to talk to nobody. Don't give out any of my information. So that clinical psychologist calls me and we're on the phone going back and forth. And I said, okay, so you won't allow me to come in there to be with my relative as I'm listed as the next of kin. But if my relative had a heart attack because of this meth, then you'll call me? I don't understand that process. So, you know, they have rights, but we have to keep in mind that this drug alters their mind state. And we need to figure something around that where us relatives can push through these doors and get them the help they need. Because I heard what Marcita said, and it was frustrating to hear that, oh, well, you can't do anything. It has to be them. Okay, so if these people that are committing the crimes over and over, and we're talking about the banishment, and they're committing over and over and they refuse the care, then what? What do we do as a community? What do we do as a tribe with them? That's why I'm for this banishment, because if they're continuing and refusing, then obviously they're not Lakota. They forgot that they're Lakota. So I just wanted to make that statement that, you know, I hit brick walls because they said they have rights. But if we can work around it, that will help. If not, then they'll continue to keep committing crimes, and then we'll be sitting here saying, well, what do we do? We should have did the banishment. Maybe we shouldn't. But I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Marie, or somebody had a hand up.
Marie.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the resources. the detox, when it was open only for, well, it wasn't open 24/7 at the time. So when I would take my daughter over there because she had an alcohol problem, and she got this alcohol problem because she did meth before that. So these people are doing meth, and then when they want to come off of it, they go to pills or they go to alcohol. They substitute it or whatever to get off of meth or whatever they're doing. So whenever I would take her over there, she was so hungover or so drunk that she couldn't do an assessment. They wanted assessment done, and she couldn't. So then I think they just didn't want to deal with it. So I really think that whenever they go to these resources, these programs, that they need to understand that these people are either still intoxicated or they're coming off of a high, or they might still be high. So when you do assessment, and I know that whenever you go into to try to get help for treatment, there's a lot of paperwork to do. Even at the courthouse, they don't help right away. So in the meantime, you're trying to deal with their illness, with whatever they're going through. So it's really frustrating. It is. It's really frustrating, and I think that, you know, when they need help for any kind of drug or alcohol or whatever they're going through, I think we need to help them more, or I don't know, have somebody there to help them. So it's not so hard for us to get them into that facility.
Yeah, just really quick, because I know I'm running out of time. So in regards to these new proposed amendments, I looked at things like 810A7 plus 810A-9. There's this issue, there's a lot of redundancy in here that needs to be cleaned up. I'll give you what I'm talking about. So it's saying that it should be done by resolution, and then in the same ordinance, it says it should be done by a tribal council hearing, and in the same ordinance, it says it should be done by a court hearing. Those are three different things. We need to make sure this is aligned properly with legal principles and clear direction. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have a lot of non-tribal, I know this hearing is focused on banishment of people, but we're not really talking about the ones who are the biggest problem, is non-tribal members and organizations who come in here and traffic people. So with that being said, we need to refine everything we have and make sure it's legally sound, because they're going to appeal this. In a lot of cases we've had in Indian country, criminal cases where it's non-native versus native, if the native secures a conviction, they often appeal those, and they often win those appeals because something wasn't right. Something gave them the ability to get off. So to continue furthermore, it states, it's kind of a general statement I see a lot, but 18 USC 1152. That was listed here as what you're going to prosecute under. However, if you know what that is, 18 USC 1152, it says this section shall not extend to offenses committed by one Indian against another Indian. And if you look at this current ordinance you're using with its removal of non-members, the reason why this was put up this way and you didn't see anything for the removal of tribal members is because of that federal code. So we need somebody to look over this before stuff like this is presented and make law, to ensure that things are done properly. And if we don't have things in place, because for example, that same code 18 USC 1152 does not provide any protections for Indians and against Indians, but in regards to banishment, that's what we're doing. It's Indians against Indians crimes. That's what's occurring. So currently what we have is this section in our laws, removal of non-members, which everybody is referring to. And we have a host of laws that are and provisions that people can be removed for. One thing that needs to be made clear and conscious is that we we shouldn't build a comprehensive list like this against tribal members. We shouldn't remove and exclude people who are having problems with drugs, simple drug possession or simple ingestion. We shouldn't be removing those who need help. And a lot of people are misdirecting that to, we're gonna banish everybody. We're gonna banish all the ones who are suffering. What I wanna target is people who are convicted of drug trafficking for any amount. And I don't care what the color of their skin is. They're not tribal members. If people could see what I saw in the hospitals in some of these streets and what's happening to my family, if people could feel how my lungs feel right now because I suffered damage and how my hands feel because someone tried to burn my house down, if people saw the police reports about someone shooting my trailer last week or last fall, this stuff is current. It's because I don't like drug dealers. I'm campaigning against drug dealers. I'm launching a propaganda against drug dealers. If you could see the pictures of these buttheads coming near my property, trying to poison my dogs, putting poison wheat in my yard or screwing with my land or coming up and spinning out in my driveway. If you could see all the stuff I see, just not with me, but with other people, my family, and the stuff that's happened to them, you'll understand I have no compassion for these people. They are not tribal members. They are the United States. They wanted to participate in a system that's not the Oyate. They wanted to participate in a drug system that capitalizes on the destruction of our women, our children. People who run gangs, who run criminal organizations, they need to be banned for life because they are a great part of this problem. A lot of what people don't understand is that we are targeted, we have been targeted for decades. There are some of these organizations, they are sophisticated, they are educated, and then they run things like a business or a military unit. They have surveillance units, they have propaganda units, they have people who hack into people's accounts, they have people who intimidate and harass. Some of us know that the stuff that goes on here are drug debts. Drug debts are solved by property damage, theft, intimidation, or jumping somebody. I know some of you have seen that video, was it a week and a half ago, of an Unchi and some kids who were running because some guy chased another guy with a shotgun. That's just overboard, so we cannot be making excuses for any of them. If they are habitual offenders, habitual violent offenders, we need to exclude them for a period of time. If they are hurting our Sioux children, preying on our Sioux children, if they're convicted of assaulting, raping, molesting, or hurting a Sioux child, that's a lifetime banishment. And I'm not just talking banishment. We need to remove them from community roles, from any benefits, and remove them from enrollment. No longer on enrollment. That's what I want. I want them in prison for life, because if you look at the federal convictions in the newspapers, we had someone who was convicted of distributing several hundreds of pounds of meth. What did they get? 11 years? 11 years, and they get to come back here. So another thing I'd like to top on about this, so we have this ordinance in place for removal of non-members, and there's a whole list of provisions of how non-members get removed, including the process for complaints. But I'm gonna give you an example of how this has failed because it's not being enforced. Number one, Cusero. Does anybody remember the Cusero case? He trafficked and was convicted. He's in court now for basically trafficking, molesting, and hurting a Sioux child. He's not banned, is he? He's not been banned, but it's in our process. It's in the provisions here, but nothing happened to him. St. Francis Indian school teacher was convicted of child pornography. It's in the provisions. It's all here, but nothing's been taken care of. No actions have been taken care of. The pastor at the Boys and Girls Club was arrested over in Illinois for child molestation. And this guy was brought up several times by several community members. And he has a conviction now. Is he banished? Is he excluded? No, but the law's there. Wasn't enforced. So we need to make sure that whatever law we create, there needs to be an enforcement body. There needs to be a coordinated body that, coordinates all of this. And we understand all of this. And I'll try to summarize more things. 810.5, it said prosecutorial discretion. We need to end that. We need to create a list of provisions that, hey, if you commit these crimes against our people and you've been proven that you're a gang member, we're going to automatically initiate removal and exclusion proceedings against you. And I know I'm going to offend people because, a lifetime banishment and being removed from your tribe and your culture, that's a big thing. But you're not a tribal member to me if you partook in hurting our people. This woman just spoke about her relative, and these women just spoke about the relatives, and I can see a clear picture. They're not able to think for themselves while they're in the state. So who's keeping them in this state that they can't think for themselves, that they deny services, they deny and refuse everything that's given to go back to the drugs. Who is doing that? It's a great evil spirit. And we need to attack that great evil spirit. Any soldiers and people who want to represent that spirit need to be swallowed up with it. And one last thing is we might need to consider the removal of entire families. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And I really appreciate all of the detail on the time that you've been, I was just gonna mention, if you have any of those specifics, I really appreciate a written comment or any of those details that you, maybe don't have time here to share today.
Okay.
Because I really feel that hearing from all of our people, especially for that level of detail, it's gonna be important for helping us make sure that we're moving the best, laws forward. So thank you for that. We are at time for this. If there's anybody here who hasn't yet got a chance and you would like to speak, I will let one more person speak here before the end. Okay, go ahead. Please find a mic. It's not going to amplify your voice, it's just for our recording. So if you could just state your name and if you are in favor or not of the banishment, and then you can leave a 3-minute up to 3-minute comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Barrow Jones, and I am for the banishment. I am for this banishment that you guys are trying to do. First off, I want to send my condolences out to you guys, the Lambert family, the young boy. Anyway, he was a good kid. Very, very good kid. I never knew him personally, but a week before he passed, he came and helped me. I was coming out of the store and he came and, Auntie, are you okay? Do you need help? I had groceries. I said, yeah, sure. Got all my groceries and put them in my truck for me. Opened my door. That's what you call a gentleman. And then a couple days, then, thank you very much. And then a couple days after that, my nephew got shot. My nephew got shot and I got the phone call, 2 o'clock in the morning. Did you get to the hospital? My nephew got shot, and one of my nephews got shot. So I took off up there. They wouldn't let me go in there. They wouldn't let me go in there at all. So I asked, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. They said, well, you have to talk to the officer. So I asked the officer. There was about 5 officers there. I said, can I know what's going on with the nephew? I need to know. And he said, oh, he's okay. But before that, earlier before that, I sat at that hospital for 4 hours. 4 hours. I was sick. So I stayed there, but they didn't see me. They triaged me. They let me sit out there. Bunch of sick people out there. There's nobody came out to call any of us. But when they had my nephew in there, 2:30 in the morning, I went back there. Every one of them beds were all drunks passed out. Every one of them beds. So I'm against that banishment. And another thing, there's down here at the valley, every night we hear gunshots. We call the cops. What do the cops do? They don't do nothing. Oh, where's it coming from? Coming from down below us. A couple of days after this incident happened in Antelope, there was 2 young boys standing at my stop sign. One had a black hoodie and one had a white hoodie. And they were shooting off guns. Well, my grandkids were all playing outside, playing basketball. My granddaughter was running around. So I hollered at Daryl, get them kids in here. He said, who is it? I said, I don't know. They go running up the hill. 10 minutes later, I seen the cops sitting over there. So I walked over there. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? How come you're not looking for those guys that shot, shooting around over here? Oh, where was it coming from? I said, right here. There's 2 guys standing here, shooting. Oh, my grandkids are out here. But you're sitting right there with binos looking at my house. When he got out, his binos dropped. What are you doing sitting here and staring at my house? It wasn't us. And he said, which way they go? So I said, they went up the hill. Pretty soon he left. 15, 20 minutes later, he pulled back up. Grandma, the cops want you. So I went out there. And he said, oh, well, we got one in custody. I said, okay. But was it this guy? And he showed me a picture. So I looked at it and I said, I don't know, I didn't see that. They were all hoodied up, I don't know. Well, this guy was involved in the shooting last night. I said, well, I didn't see it. I didn't see their faces because they were all hooded up. But you know, those cops go down there. They go down to that valley and they know where it's coming from. They exactly know where it's coming from. But yet they go and they blame everybody else. A month before this happened, another officer came to my house during the day, broad daylight out. I heard you guys were shooting a gun off. Shooting a gun off? Oh, I'm the only one home with my grandkids. Everybody else is at work. I don't have a gun. I'm shooting a gun off. That's coming from the valley. Or go down there. That's where it's coming from. I was just down there about 5 minutes ago, but I heard them coming from here. That's a damn lie. You know it's coming from down there. You guys hear it. You guys see it. But you guys don't do nothing about it. So these drug dealers that are all down there, they're all down at that valley down there. They sell. They have all these little kids selling down there. They jumped my brother walking. He was walking from St. Francis. He was walking that way. They jumped him. All a bunch of little kids trying to be wannabe gangsters. They're not gangsters. And all that starts from the home. It starts from the home. So I'm against that banishment. But I don't know, you guys might have a hard time doing that because they tried to do that to me in St. Francis. They couldn't. They couldn't do that to me. I fought them. I came to council, I came to court, everything. All over some lies and whatever. They didn't banish me. They didn't kick me out of the community. I left. Nobody kicked me out of nowhere. I left that community. I just didn't. Got out of that community and went to Antelope community. And nobody ever kicked me out of that, no community, but it's going to be hard. But I stand behind that banishment. All these meth dealers, and they have all their little kids selling. 10-year-old, 11-year-old selling meth in Michigan, down here in Rosebud. What are the cops doing? Nothing. Law enforcement ain't doing nothing. They just ride around and look and see what's going on out there, and oh yeah, okay, that's my family over there. Oh, that's my relative over there. So they don't do nothing. You got to be related to somebody or something to get anything done around here. And I know that for a fact because a cop came and said, "Oh, those are my nephews." Well, what the hell? Those are your nephews? Get the F out of my yard. Because you ain't no unit. You're no cop. Those are your nephews. Come first. Then put that badge away. Those are your nephews and your relatives and you're going to stick up for them. Then put that badge away. You don't need to carry that badge or you don't need to wear that badge. If your family's going to come first, then come and try to arrest everybody else. Remember, there's always two sides to a story. Not one, two. So I'm against that banishment. And all these little wannabes, where are they coming with these guns? Where are they coming with knives, machetes, whatever? Going around doing all this. Where's the parents? You gotta get the parents. Charge them. They're letting their kids run around all hours of the night. I see it down here. 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody was trying to jump over my fence. We have cameras, so I seen it. My son and my daughter seen it. I told them, you better get out of here. Little bitty guys. 3, 10, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Walking around 3 o'clock, claiming West Side or Crips or Low-Red something, or I don't know, hollering around down there, shooting off guns. It's bad. So, we need to do that. We need to, not just that individual or that individual, take the family too. Because that's where it comes from, right there, that family. Where you at? While you're 10-year-old or 11-year-old or 12-year-old, whatever year old, out there shooting guns off. Where you guys at? Drinking with them, getting high with them. So I'm against that banishment. We need to do something about the law enforcement.
Okay, I just want to clarify, you're in favor of the banishment? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I am. I'm in favor of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We need to get something done about the law enforcement. Thank you.
Did you have one more?
So I didn't speak get the mic?
If you want it to be a comment, please. It's not to amplify your voice, it's just for the record.
Okay, my voice wasn't loud enough for the record for you guys to record up there.
Yeah, not the.
I seen everybody having to speak in the mics. I don't know if I needed to or not. Yes, I have to. Hello, this is Gloria from Meth Community, and I am for the banishment.
Okay, this one. Yeah.
My name is Michelle Montez, and I'm from Butte Creek Community out in Wood, and I support the banishment as well.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we are after time. Is there anybody else that really wants to hear? I will hear you. No? Okay.
Is there, I have just a question, I don't know if I'm misreading it or nothing, or if I'm missing it, but what about crime off the res and coming back to the res? Is that included in here anywhere?
I did not see it in this draft. If that's something that you'd like to make a comment on, we can bring it forward for,
I would like to have that added to, this banishment, if there's a major crime off res, murder, rape, whatever, it'll be, drafted into this, banishment. A lot of people, they commit crimes off res and come here to hide.
thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you everyone for today. Like I mentioned, we'll take all of this information. I believe, we all know how much time do they have to provide comment? Was it closed today or was there a longer deadline, do you know?
15 calendar days.
15 calendar days from today?
Yep.
Okay, so you'll have another 2 weeks or 15 days for anybody listening or anybody here that would like to provide a more detailed comment or anything in writing. Like I said, I really appreciate anybody who takes the time to read and give input specifically on some of this, because a lot of this information, although we did have people put time and effort into it, it was kind of fast tracked a little bit. So the more eyes we can have on it and the more input we can have, I feel that it could, help it be a stronger, better law for that. So you have 15 more days after that. The one thing I do want to say real fast, I'll take a break here and then we'll come back in for the meth conversation, but unfortunately, because of the tight turnaround there, we have 2 weeks for them. The law firm that's helping us does not have a draft ready for us for review for today. So unfortunately, the Meth Ordinance cannot be reviewed today. However, if there's anybody here that wants to stay, I will open up kind of like a public forum where we can gather public input to be included in the next draft of that. I'm more than happy to do that since we already have it scheduled today. But I just wanted to say it can't be that official hearing like this one was, because we don't necessarily have a document in front of us to get your guys' official input on. But if that's okay with you, I'm going to take about a 5-10 minute break here. Everybody get a drink or use the restroom, and then we'll come back up and open it back up for a discussion on meth.
I'd like to say something before you guys go. I want to thank you guys for all coming and for your comments, because they're real. They come from your heart. And I wish this room was full of more people, because things are going to change from here on out. And when we make these decisions, it's not just now and for the moment, it's for the generations to come. We want a safe home for them, a safe place. So for those that are listening, things need to change. And the people that are here are really concerned and they feel it from their heart and they're speaking from their heart. We're here to protect the Oyate. Maybe we should start going back to the basic, your family and prayer and our way of life. Keep your circles small. Stay with your families. All this other stuff, drugs, meth, the molesting, the raping was never a part of our way of life. So everybody listening, think about it and think about the direction that we need to go in from here on out. We all need to work together and everybody needs to step up. Step out of our comfort zone. Let's make the Sichongo Oyate a good place to live, not only for tomorrow, but for the generations to come. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I have something to say real quick. Today, is that still a crime here on our reservation? Ain't that still a crime? Ain't that still a law here?
That's what I wanna know, because it is. Right? A lot of bad things go on here. People selling themselves, their children, people sleeping with their cousins, you should make that stricter too. Just the, you know.
Thank you. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier that I really feel is important is as we have these community engagements, I appreciate everybody who provides input because they're all smaller pieces to this bigger puzzle. And I feel like our whole law and order code, as we all know, needs to be updated. But if we look at it as a whole, it gets daunting and overwhelming. So that if we can pull these smaller pieces out, get them updated, they'll eventually help get that bigger, stronger law. And another thing that I wanted to mention is when I first got on council, which hasn't been very long, one of the first meetings I went to, we learned from some of our relatives in North Dakota. And you know, a lot of our tribal nations are facing drugs, facing the same meth pandemic, all this stuff. And what they found was kind of what I'm hearing a lot today is you can't arrest away that type of problem. It has to be, you know, you have to heal also. And so one of the things that they felt worked was they changed the law, they allowed for banishment, but they also allowed for a healing option. But in order for that healing option to work, they had to do some re-strategizing and reorganization. And so what ended up happening is they created this big kind of hybrid between intensive treatment and a jail, so that you knew that you were going to get treatment first, because you can't rehab anybody unless you have a clean mind. And with meth and fentanyl and some of these other brain altering substances, it takes almost a year or more before you can even have that mind clarity back to then make the rehabilitation process that much more successful. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because the more that we can start thinking about how we can connect these things, maybe it looks like a centralized thing in Pierre, or maybe it's in the Black Hills where we have this big facility that can heal our people while also, you know, keeping them safe in almost in a jail-like setting. And then that would make our local entities, our local detox and our local rehab and our local facilities more meaningful, because they'll be at a level where they can receive that help. Right now, without getting through that hard first 9 months, it's really hard to do that. So I just wanted to throw that out as an option, because their families went from hiding their children, saying, don't pick them up, you know, don't pick them up, to calling the cops, saying, please come pick up my child if they're going to get help, if I know they're going to go to get treatment, if I know that. And so it turned out to be that person makes a choice. Either you're going to get banished for 5, 10, forever, whatever that looks like, or you're going to go to this intensive treatment jail that's a minimum, you know, 2 years, or however, you know, we could set those types of things. But I just wanted to offer that as an example, because other tribal nations are trying these things, and I think it would be beneficial to look at what's working and find out how we can make that work for us. Oops, sorry, yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Yellow Long. I'm a Rosebud community member. And I just wanted to ask a question. Part of, I heard some of you today, and it's good. Banishment, you look at our history, bad nation. That was where we banished our people. They were no longer allowed, no rights. The women, the men, they had no right to participate in anything the tribe did. A lot of their tribal rights were taken away. They weren't considered, they had somewhere to go, which I agree with. We're gonna banish our people. We need to, where we gonna send them? To the cities? Look what they're doing to them. White people are killing our Indian people that live along the river. They're killing them. They're saying they're not. How many of them are murdered and unknown? Who's really who killed them? Nobody, because they're homeless. But they came from here. They came from Cheyenne River. They came from Standing Rock. They came from Ocheti, Shaponi. Those are our people, and they're dying out there. We're going to banish them to where? So that the Washingtons can what? Kill them in the rivers, in the creeks, wherever.
So, I don't know about banishment. Like we do that again. Can't be banishment. We have people out there now. But we do have a lot of land. We can put them somewhere. Send them there, tanks. Till they come to their right mind, put them in tanks, put them out there. What are they gonna do for themselves? The ones that are on drugs, they're not in their right mind. I think personally, when my child is drunk, high, whatever, they're not in their right mind. Back in our day, in the 70s, if you took acid, you were considered insane. Just once. Just one. Take one of those tabs, that's it. I don't know anything. I just remember that. I didn't take it. Too scared to take drugs. My mind is enough being sober and trying to heal from the trauma of alcohol within my family. I'm the 6th generation, 5 generations earlier, alcohol. We all have the behaviors, we all act how we act because of the alcohol. Today, alcohol, meth and God, that's how they say it. I don't even remember what they call those water bottles with wad in it. I can't remember what they call them, but they carry those around. So we have them drunk and high. They're not in their right mind. They agree. I think something needs to be done in our law where if you're not in your right mind, then what are you? Are you insane? Are you, what is it called? What is it called when we're not in our right mind? What did the white people call it? Temporary insanity? Anyway, we need something along those lines when they have to go through this whole process. I'm a mom. I have 2 daughters, 2 sons. When they're not in their right mind, I say, don't come here until you're sober or you're not high. Then I'll talk to you, right? We don't want to talk to them when they're drunk, when they're high. They're not in their right mind. They get mad at me. So I haven't talked to a couple of them for 3 years just because of their drinking. So I think it has something to do with the law where I don't know what we want to call it. They're not in their right mind. Temporary insanity, I don't know how you want to word it. Banishment, I don't know. I'm saying we're sending them to where? Where are we sending them? And what's really going to happen to them? Yes, they're doing horrible things. They're on this drug. We don't know if they're molesting, raping. We don't know what's going on in these circles of meth with alcohol. We don't know. We could only imagine. But I'm saying if we banish them, it becomes the state's problem. Rapid City, Sioux Falls, Dokila, where are we going to send them? Where are we going to put them? I say we need to. I don't know the whole history. I told you guys about Bad Nation. I don't know the whole history of. Did they just send them with their clothes on their back, or did they give them tents, or I don't know how we would do it. But so I'm not really for banishment because I'm thinking of that. Those are our people. These are our children, our takojas, our nieces, our nephews. These are our relatives. And we're going to banish them. I understand it's horrible. Whatever they're doing, or they're distributing them. Killing others, getting others started. I mean, I see a young man in St. Francis who gave him that? Now he's out of his mind. How I know? He plays, what is that, what were they playing that, with that ball in that net thing, and that started? They were playing that with my grandson, that boy. Now he's walking around out of it in St. Francis. Who got him high? Now he took a trip and will never return. He's not that same young man. Just walked all over. And that was meth. So each one of us will react different to meth. Some will come back and some of them won't. So banishment, I don't know. I say no, but I say utilize our own land or something, not for it. And I forgot, oh, what I wanted to say was, what is the process? The past President Scott had all these cameras up that showed our sexual predators, our rapists, sexual assault. I think we need to put them back up. I don't know if there's a process council does or if it's a executive order. I don't know any of that. But I would like to see those back up. I would really like to see that. Maybe it's embarrassing for some of us, but we all have to learn how to control ourselves, and they're no different. To have that self-control and it gets out of control and they're raping, molesting, and murdering. We don't know if they're on meth either. So that would help with some of the identifying. Hey, I see him on that. Me.
Okay, thank you for that. Does yours have to do with the banishment still?
I thought we rolled over to the meta issue. They're gonna make my statement, because I thought it was at 3. I gotta get going.
I was gonna tell you, you don't have to, you could just go on put it in your phone and Google it, and it's like chicken pox. It'll pop up, it'll tell you where the predators live and everything, because if you don't register where you live, you go back to jail. So it'll tell you on there. You put it in your phone, it'll tell you, it'll pop up where every child molester lives, every rapist, convicted rapist found lives. On our reservation.
Okay, we're gonna take about
I just want to announce that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe Communication Facebook page, this conversation has now reopened the meth rehab program. 43 minutes ago. They'll be accepting 16 individuals. Of course, you gotta do your assessment and apply for Medicaid before services.
Yes, the next rehab is now,
Just now open. 43 minutes ago. That's for the public to know.
okay, thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna take about a 10-minute break and then we'll be right back here to continue on a meth conversation, okay? See you at 35. Okay, thank you everyone. Good afternoon again. Like I mentioned earlier, this was intended to be a public hearing regarding a new ordinance for meth. However, that draft is not yet ready for us from our legal team. So because we already have this hearing scheduled for today, I just wanted to open up for the opportunity, if you have any input, if you have any suggestions that are positive that we could use to incorporate into any of the language, to develop a stronger or a more appropriate meth ordinance, that's the goal of this afternoon. So we'll kind of still have the same rules. You'll still be on a timer to allow people to have enough time to talk today. If everybody gets the time to talk and you still have more to say, we'll definitely open the floor back up for you to say more things. We're not going to specifically ask, are you for or against the meth ordinance, since we don't have the ordinance here. But if you would like to give your opinion on if you're for stronger meth laws or not, that would still be helpful. And again, what we're looking for today are any kind of insight or any kind of input from the communities and our tribal citizens to give us guidance on how we should establish a new meth ordinance. So thank you again for today. I think we did 3 minutes earlier. That was the recommendation from the committee. Again, if that's not long enough for you to make your statement, we can open it back up at the end. Coach, do you have anything to say? Okay, so I will open it up for comment. Again, this is more just like a public forum where we're going to have more open comment period versus the actual hearing comment period. Thank you. Is there anybody? I know Melinda wanted to make a statement. Would you like to start?
Yep, I'll start that. Good afternoon, I'm Melinda Yolo from Antelope Community. I just want to go on record that Antelope Community does have a standing resolution and it did come to tribal council. We are zero tolerance of meth in Antelope Community. So I just want to note that for the record. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Marie, you can go next.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I spoke a little bit about it earlier, but I think that we need to make sure that the meth unit and the alcohol treatment centers and mental health, it really advocates, you know, their programs, because for some reason the people aren't getting the help they need. So I think that, you know, they need to get more involved with the communities, you know, all over. I wish that Rosebud community would have more control over this drug and alcohol abuse that's going on in the communities. We're not only dealing with the drug and alcohol that is going on the reservation, we're also dealing with the trauma and experience with loss and grieving. And I think the reason why, you know, our people are turning to alcohol and drugs is because they're not getting that mental health. I think there's a lot of peer pressure out there within the children, with the youth, because a lot of the kids are using now. And there's a lot more violence and carrying of weapons and vandalism and beatings that are going on. I also think that a lot of our people are in denial of the help that we all need. And you know, there was a time that I couldn't even speak about this, you know, because of the things that was going on within my family, with my kids. But one thing is that I was never in denial because I needed help for them. So I always knew what my kids were doing. I would hear it and I would, you know, get mad, but they were adult children, you know, and I should have never had to been getting mad at them because they were adults. But I still helped them. You know, I still try to, you know, get them help. I think that, you know, we need to all stop being in denial, and we need to help our people, our families, especially our family, our children and our grandchildren, because we're the only ones that they have, and maybe they're seeking out for help, but we don't have those facilities open. One just opened like 40 minutes ago, that meth unit. And so I think that they really need to advocate it more. Get out there and do your job, you know, get out there and get the help for our people. Our people are crying out for help. For some reason or for some time, they lost their spirit somewhere. And we need to help them get that back. And so we have a lot of spiritual leaders that need to step up and, you know, help us out. You know, that's what we need. You know, I'm, like I said before, you know, I don't really want to say I'm for it, and I don't want to say I'm against it. You know, I do want to say that our people need the help. We really do. We really need help. And all these people, all these programs that are getting monies to do that, they need to start doing their job. You know, we shouldn't have to send our people off somewhere, you know, to get that help. We should be able to do it right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, Archie, go ahead.
Hello, it's Archie again from Farmley. You know, we talk about addiction on the streets and we talk about the issues we're having. You know, I have to commend the workers that are up at that treatment center. Well, that's a big job they take on, and the process of getting them into treatment versus treating them. You know, if I had to say something on the air and to some council reps, is that we should probably be advocating for them to get more funding. You know, now that we're in a state of emergency, you know, we got these conversations going, and now they're opening back that meth treatment. I mean, let's direct council, my council rep, and we look into it to get them some more funding. You know, that's a big job. Making minimum wage, they should be making money to where, you know, they can live, but also take care of their job, and to assure people are being taken care of in there. You know, we have, you know, crisis with food, you know, gas and amounts that it's costing. You know, I'd really like that treatment center to be looked into, and council can help with further funding for that. It'd be really nice. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to give a comment regarding the meth issue? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. I have to say, to get rid of all this drugs and stuff. Me and this other lady was talking about it. She was talking about it. It got me thinking too. So then we thought, I just gave her some ideas, and I told her, I said, then you gotta go talk to the tribal people and your community members. I said, and I did mine too. I started saying something about that too. And I told him, I said, the only way we're gonna get rid of all this is set up roadblocks, so we know it's not coming into our communities. We could take them off our communities. If you really want it out of here, that's what we need to do. It's gonna get worse. The more our people are on drugs, their thinking's changing. One of these times they're gonna end up killing one of us. Then they're gonna be sitting there crying, trying to do something. Need to get this done. Or they're gonna start hurting people to help them. To get it off our reservations. And on behalf of my grandkids, I told them, they told me, let you people know that they love their uncle, but they don't like it. They don't like the drugs. And they wish that they could help everybody that's on it. Because they know they wanted to come here with me, but I told them they couldn't because they go a little too crazy. But they can't sit still. So. And then if they do have a place, I hope they get it going and do something to help these guys out. And they're breaking into people's homes. Just got my neighbors broken into, taking all her stuff. I don't know when they're gonna start on mine next, but I have cameras all over my place. Watching, make sure nobody ain't sneaking around. That's it. Thank you.
I know this is just about, it's kind of methamphetamine focused, but I wanted to focus on more than just methamphetamine, illicit drugs in general, everything regarding our reservation, regarding crimes and what happens to us, social policies, corruption, embezzlement. We're being targeted. Our tribe, all tribes have been targeted. There's something called grand architecture. Grand architecture targets different areas of our reservations, which includes economic areas, bureaucratic areas, legislative, non-enforcement of crimes, high incarceration rates of natives, DNA precedents, propaganda campaigns, psychological warfare, installation of disruptors. These are some of the areas, not comprehensive, but what I'm getting at is, I'll give you an example. So Christy Noem went on a tirade about how councils are connected to cartels and really just put us down, and all she had to do was speak truth. And a lot of people took offense to that. But what she didn't tell you is that certain state officials, not just the state of South Dakota, but the United States government, participates in activities that target reservations. They let drug dealers come here. They let human traffickers come here. They send people here to disrupt. They send people here to lobby for laws, to make crimes out of something that wasn't a crime issue to begin with. Or they pass legislative laws federally, in the state, or at the tribe that only hinders us. The high incarceration rates, the DNA precedents, what I'm talking about. So this policy they developed towards the American Indians in the 1900s and how to deal with us, because now they have to deal with us legally. They detailed plans on how to destroy us, how to keep us suppressed. I've always wondered my entire life, how come these elite people, these groups of billionaires, these people from the United States, how come they just don't end reservations because there's no viable output? We're not producing like what other places produce. They keep us funded at the bare minimum with our law enforcement, with our social economic programs, or with any programs in general, at the very minimum. And what that does is it creates problems. It creates gaps in funding. It creates gaps in legislation, and it divides the community. One of our ancestors spoke about, they had a vision of everybody being in square teepees. And so when these people enact plans, what they do is they make us a place and regions that produce people for prison. 44% of all Sioux have been charged with something somewhere. 27% of Sioux have served time in prisons. We are a school to pipeline output avenue. Our schools are underfunded. Our schools are chaotic. Our schools are not united, and it produces what we're having here today. All the stuff we're seeing with regard to murders, rapes, and molestations, it's a product of what they want us to be. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me when I say this, but we need to start acting like a sovereign body. Yes, bad stuff has happened to our ancestors, but we have got to start doing things for ourselves. We cannot continue to go to Lexi Sam and say, Uncle Sam, crime is going on here, help us. And Uncle Sam will be like, okay, hold on, go give $1 to your other uncle, and then he'll help you. And all it does is just put a Band-Aid, a temporary Band-Aid on what's gonna continue to happen here. If we continue on this path of where our only solution is to arrest everybody and convict everybody and ban everybody, we're gonna go nowhere. We're gonna be right back here in 3 years. We need to start funding our own programs. We need to start finding ways to build our own infrastructure, and we need to start acting like Indians. So Trump passed this law. It's called the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. For those of you who don't know, Senator McCain and Trump lobbied for this law because Indian casinos were taking money from their pockets. So they started lobbying and testifying before Congress to why we need to be regulated when it comes to gaming. They presented pictures of how we were a crime-infested region, and that was back then, back in 1989. And they were presenting pictures and they were saying things, and you can see these video clips of Trump saying, they don't look like Indians to me. These two passed that to severely limit all tribes. And that IGRA Act limited all tribes in the country to 250 machines. And what that equates to is less money for the tribe, less money to go to programs, less money for anything. And it makes us dependent on federal programs because they cut our ability to raise revenue on our own, make us dependent on the United States government. And that's just one act in one area. Another issue is, like, for example, taxes. So as it stands, me as a business owner, if I were to open a business, say like a grocery store, every non-native, non-tribal that comes into my business store, I have to pay taxes to the state for them coming into our territory, into my business, buying our product. I have to pay the state taxes for them. We don't get those taxes. So that's one issue. Another issue is tobacco enforcement. You know that ATF is really heavy-handed on tribes producing tobacco. What I'm getting at is we need to come to a point where our tribe needs to start acting like Indians. Those ain't laws we passed. The 2010 Law Enforcement Accountability Act regarding the tribes, we didn't lobby for that. Is anybody in the Senate Indian Affairs Committee from the reservation on the federal level? Nope, not a single one of them. We didn't pass any of those laws. So it's coming to a time where we need to start acting like Indians. The VAWA Act got passed only because there was money behind it for billionaires. I'm guessing a lot of you don't know that. So what needs to happen is, for example, there was something recently that you guys took initiative on, didn't wait for any state or federal legislators to say, no, you can't do that. And I forget what it was about. It was some sort of crime that you guys passed. So instead of sending our people to our tribal jail for 3 years, or letting the federal government take over the case and put them in jail for 11 years, we need to be a tribe and say, we have felonies now. Our tribal system has felonies, and you can go to jail for life. If you kill somebody under these circumstances, you go to our tribal jail, and we're not going to be like the federal or state system where you distribute 350 pounds of methamphetamine to these jungle people and you get 11 years and get to come back home to your community and get back on the rolls and go get more benefits. We need to stop that and say, nope. If you want to continue to be a part of our tribe, sure, but let's put you in our tribal jail on our terms. Let's initiate classes of felonies that we control. This DNA precedent, some may have a hard time understanding what I'm going to say about this, but it's happening. So being dependent on the United States and following their laws and regulations that we never got a chance to discuss. We as a community, we as a tribe, never got input about any of these laws. We've been on a system for quite some time, and it's made us weak. What we do in our lifetimes affects our DNA. So the DNA that we came from isn't going to be the DNA we produced. What the DNA we produce comes from what happens into our lifetime. So if we're sick, sad, and we're dependent, and our parents were that way, we're going to make the generation behind us even weaker because they're more dependent. And what I've seen is a saturation in the United States to where there's so much about federal Indian law, and the firms you use are so embedded in federal Indian law. Their whole basis is surrounded on federal Indian law, which doesn't serve us. Has any federal Indian policy ever benefited any tribe? That's what our lawyers are concentrating on. When we need to disrupt that entire system and say, hey, we are a sovereign nation. These are our laws. You come to our land, you obey our laws. If you don't obey our laws, you go to our prison. If you come into our lands and you buy whatever, those taxes go to us. And we should be able to put as many machines as we want in any community we want. We could put 1,000 machines down by Valentine, 1,000 machines by White River, 1,000 machines over by Martin. But that's not happening because we're under the clutch and control of Lexi Sam. That's the true issue of this issue with the epidemic, with crime, drugs, and everything else. In my lifetime, especially within the past 10 years, what I've seen is a transformation. So since we didn't take care of these problems 15 years ago, we now have kids who've been abandoned, they've been sold, these mothers used while they're high. And this is bad when two people conspire, a man and a woman, a drug dealer and a woman conspire to have a kid just for the specific purpose of trafficking that kid. That's bad. And when that mother uses while that kid is in her stomach, when that kid comes out, they are not fully developed. Their ability to regulate their emotions, it's almost not there. And what happens is we end up seeing we are seeing a generation of ultra violent people who do not have that process there to stop them and say, hey, maybe I should reason with myself. I shouldn't even be in this situation, let alone trying to do this, but that's not there anymore. And that's what we're dealing with now. And it's going to become even more and more worse if we don't address the core of this problem. And what I'm telling you is the core of everything that's going on here. It's not about, the drug traffickers this or drug traffickers that. They're enabled by the United States. How does somebody get specific chemicals from China into our reservation? How does somebody get these products from either Mexico or Canada right into the reservation through all these law enforcement boundaries, through all that time and space and all that regulations? It's because behind the door, somebody's enabling that policy. It's just like we have George Soros, a billionaire, who's funding a Indian organization paying to disrupt everything that's going on in Indian country. They're there to disrupt. They're there to protest. They're there to do this. And all they're doing is they're creating this disruption because it feeds another cycle. And that cycle feeds another cycle. And to these elite, that's money. So I think one thing we need to be on point about is we need to be strategic with this. Arresting people, creating laws for crimes should only be one part of this. This should be an entire operation, not just involving our tribe, but involving the Ocheti Shakoni. Because I'll tell you what I know. These organizations have targeted the Ocheti Shakoni for years. We have a distribution network that operates within our tribes. I've gotten into a lot of arguments after Christy Noem started saying our council was affiliated with the cartel. You know what happens? Our people get sent to prison. They get vetted in prison by people who trust them, and that's the only way you get vetted is by being in prison and by committing acts. And that's the only way you're going to be a part of this network. These prisons, when our people go to prison, they don't just go to one prison. Oh, Sichang will go here. No, it's by design. All Indians get placed in one section. That way they can coordinate and affiliate. And they target us. They have tools that target our tribe and other tribes that a lot of you just probably don't understand or don't want to believe. They have people who hack into people's computer systems, into their phones. They have people who disrupt, who are paid to come to council meetings or jump online and start just creating general disruption. So to me, we have to unite, not just as community members, or tribal members, or courts, or law enforcement. There needs to be a broad operation effort to reach out to other tribes. We must have other tribes. We must have our first general council of all tribes, because we haven't had one in over 100 years. Ever since we've been imprisoned and placed in these places, we've not had a meeting, and that needs to take place to address what's going on. When our tribes can unite and start learning these things and coming up with solutions, then we can make a big impact. But I will tell you right now, even if everything goes to plan, even if this great master plan works out, none of us are going to see the results. We're going to continue to see death. We're going to continue to see all this bad shit happening until the day we die. It's going to take generations. It's not going to take 10 years. It's going to take 20 years, 30 years.
I really appreciate your words today. To interrupt, I just wanted to check with the rest of the room to make sure that we're okay with continuing. We did set this up to have time frame so other people could talk, but as long as there's nobody else that wants to talk, I'll let him continue. I just wanted to take a quick pause to check with you.
I'll talk after him, but yeah.
I'm done.
He's pissed off.
Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
I'm Heather Walkenbull from the Rosebud community. As I'm reading this, I agree with all this that's set in place, but again, we need to start with our own tribe, our own. What about the directors that failed drug tests with coke, methamphetamine? Why are they back in there? I can name some names, but why? When before you, there are people that are let back in there. I know several people that failed their drug tests that are still in there. And whenever they do random drug tests, they can just go through Rosebud Exchange and buy a drug test kit. It's out of their system. Because there's nothing quiet here. So first you got to start here for the tribe. Then work amongst all this other stuff, because yes, there's heroin, fentanyl, so many different kinds of drugs coming through. And the court systems too. I myself, when I won custody of my granddaughter, her parents were into drugs. One was a drug dealer, one was a user. I asked for court order to get help. He refused it. So that's sad right there in itself. And to this day, I don't know how many years my daughter been on drugs. And as I said, she went missing. And it starts here. There's so many drug dealers out there. But it's okay to have drugs in your house. Have drugs in my granddaughter's diaper bag. Looked like a big old snowball. And I didn't know what it was. Coke. And I touched it. You know, that could got me high. And there's I will speak up, because I talk for a lot of people that are scared. A lot of people are messaging me right now that I'm sitting here. Because, you know, there is people that are scared. People are getting molested. People are getting drugged up. What about medicine men that are molesting people, doing that, molesting people at sweats, molesting people, the people that are getting people high and molesting them, drugging them up, molesting them? It's happening. It's happening. And it's just not meth. There's heroin. Yes, I was reading this. Yes, there's pills. Yes, there's so much substance out there that's happening right now to our people. And a lot of us in here are traditional. A lot of us do walk this red road. A lot of us are going and involved in all this, but when does it stop? When medicine men themselves are doing it? Or who has this much powers, fighting back and forth, putting bad medicine on each other? That's not okay. When is that going to stop? When are those cycles going to stop? Because it has to stop. Their generations before us were molested in boarding schools and all that by priests, other things. And it can stop. It's a learned behavior, rape, molestation. A person will, yeah, to get molested, raped, they will do that to another. It's a learned behavior. There's so many signs out there. When I went to school to be a police officer, they taught us so many things to look for, so many warnings to look for. And then I went on to be a firefighter, EMT, get into the medical field. It's sad. And nowadays, when I went back for EMT training, it's so high tech out there. There are so many things that you can do, so many things that you can help, but there's so many bad calls that are happening. And it's just, they're giving our kids fentanyl. Looks like a vitamin. It's not a vitamin. It's not. It's a pill form. People are giving their kids melatonin. When is that okay to put your kid to sleep? When is that okay to give your kid substance? When is that okay? When did that become normal? And people in the medical field that are out there buying, asking you what you get. You have an injury, they ask you what you got at the pharmacy. They follow you. I myself was followed. I myself was targeted. My purse was stolen. I did have a medical, had surgery. My purse was stolen by a person that worked at the medical hospital and was a medical person. I got that person fired, but still, you know, my house was robbed. It was on cameras. Cops, you know, it's when does it stop? They'll rob you. They watch your social media, and you know, people on Facebook think they're safe when they're not safe. The CIs all know they can track your phone. Facebook is set up, TikTok, all that is set up to watch child predators, to watch methamphetamines. Right now, I talk to people about stuff that's going on in our school system. A CI came to my house because there is children on Facebook, on TikTok, on Skype, all these other things that are sending out pictures, children being molested, people, and it's scary that you would never think that person, that's happening to that person, and it's happening by medicine men, by their own family members. And people need to know that CIs can recover your phone. Everything that's on your phone, they can track everything, and they will. They can. It's set up like that. And these tribal phones, you guys get your bills paid by your tribe. Our tribe pays for your phones. I don't know if they still do it now, but they did. Where everybody has a iPhone, up-to-date iPhone, where it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But that's how we track my daughter, is from that iPhone, pinning those targets. And the CIAs help me. You know, feds help me. We can call the feds ourselves. There is help out there where there's crime available, where there is chains of command here, because we're a sovereign nation. But there is, if you feel like you can't, nobody's listening to you, the police force not listening to you, the council is not listening to you, you're scared, you can call the FBI yourself. You can call lawyers yourself. You can go above here. But we are a sovereign nation here. People need to understand that we have our own laws. And people are scared. There's so many people scared out there. But they want help. They need help. They ask for help. And I have a lot of documents of things that go on in every place in your guys' tribal workplace should have cameras everywhere. Because, you know, there was a meth bag that was found by bathrooms. Meth bag is found at a wake. Meth bag is found at a funeral. You know how embarrassing it is for me to pick up a meth bag and give it to the preacher? That's scary. And, it came from that person's pocket. It fell out of that person that walked by. And it's embarrassing because you're at a wake. You're there at a wake. You're there to get help somewhere. Even at IHS, you go to the hospital, they'll follow you around. So, and then working in the medical field, they tell us all what's out there, what's all going out there, all these calls that are going out there. I do nurse visits at home. People go to people's homes, help them. A lot of elders are being taken advantage. A lot of elders, Social Security cards are getting stolen. A lot of elders, Social Security checks are getting stolen. A lot of Social Security debit cards are getting stolen. Every month it happens. And they're using drug and alcohol and meth. Beyond meth. and they're bringing that in. And there's people that are bringing stuff in from Sioux Falls, and they get caught here and they stay here, go to jail here. How come they can't stay here? Well, when I went to jail for the crime that I did, when I sat there for a week, there was people from all over these states out there around us, surrounding areas. If they can sit there like a prison, people are from our tribe should be able to sit there like that too, for these crimes that they commit. Because there is so many drug dealers out there. I could go out to the street and ask somebody for some drugs, and they'll sell it to you. They don't care. Even if they know you don't do drugs, because they want that money. There's so many people out there that are selling drugs that you wouldn't even think sell drugs. They do. And their kids sell drugs. It goes down the line. But nothing's being done about it. Nothing is being done about it. There's a lot of people that are scared. A lot of people that are sending pictures. And a lot of names are being thrown around. And we ourselves know who the drug dealers are, the well-known drug dealers are. But they're still allowed to walk in our communities. They're still allowed to distribute to family members, they're keeping, it's sad to see an elder high. You know, you go to Mission, you see all those people on the street high on meth. I know about the Sunrise Apartments that got 36 families got evicted from over there. 36, and they have nowhere to go. A lot of them are on drugs. Right now, I have a niece that lives next to a well-known drug dealer. I feel scared for her babies, because you know when those vents, when people are getting high, it goes through your vents. Our those guys work for that. And I told him I felt scared for him, because they go clean up all that stuff. He sees what that's done to your house. I myself saw what was done to my mom's house, how destroyed that property was. It's scary. And you know, all that comes through the vents. Those babies are in there breathing. And I watch all that violence. When I get on Facebook, you see people shooting people, machetes. I myself saw Oscar the other day. He is on the streets. He's all beat up and staples all in his throat. I asked him what happened to him, and he was telling me about it. So like even these it's okay to record people when bad things happen. They don't call the cops. They record it. They go live. It goes viral. People like that drama here. People like that, but they're sitting there. But they're high too. They're not going to tell you they're high, but we all know they're high. So I just want people to understand that we need to change the laws, make them more stricter, and start right now with our tribe. And go back to your bylaws in there and look, every time a new council get in there, they change the bylaws over and over and over and over, but they don't stick to it. My family's been into politics my whole life. Ever since we were kids, we've been into politics. Our family members we started our own youth groups, all this stuff since we were children. And you know, my older brother is into politics. When I want to know bylaws and I don't understand it, I have him break it down for me. And then I myself ran for Rosebud community. I didn't win, but I didn't care because I wanted to change. Because I was tired of seeing people embezzle from our tribe, embezzle from our community, embezzle from people are lined out there. I have a house with no water for how many years? And my house, when I first got back, my house was squatted. And I had to fight for my house back. Because I lived off the reservation. And then to be without water for many years, and I was embarrassed to ask. I told my relative, I said, I need help, but I don't want to ask. Because how many times I have to go to my relative's house for water? But I didn't care. Because as our own home, you have to do it yourself. Even right now, when I asked for ARPA, there are so many elders that when you had that, was 5 years ago. Look at these ARPA funds, when these people all work for ARPA, but their houses are all nice and fancy, millions of dollars, thousands of dollars. Are people on council doing that? Get all these houses funding. And it's who you know, who you relate to. I'm tired of hearing that. It's old because we're all related to each other, no matter how you see it, no matter what. But we need to stop and make these changes and make them stick this time. Yes, there's a lot of us, but we right here, the people that are here today matter. Because we speak for those that don't want to speak, or those that are scared to speak. And there is a lot out there, and I'm happy that there's a lot of, and it makes me sad to hear the elderly cry. It's sad. It's really heartbreaking. I'm glad that all these people that are messaging me, I want to say what they want to say, but a lot of them are upset, a lot of them are angry, a lot of them are cussing, a lot of them are getting mad at me, a lot of them are, people don't like what I say because I'm blunt. I'll tell you straight the facts. I'll tell you straight up whether it hurts anybody or not, and I'll give names because I'm not scared. But I want it to stop. We need it to stop. But thank you. I'm very proud that you guys are doing this and that it sticks.
Is there anybody else that would like to say some words today? I will ask at 4:20, so I just wanted to get a feel for how many people would like to talk today, just to make sure we have time for everybody. But yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, again, my name is Stevie Whitehead. I'm here because I'm really against meth. I'm really against it. It's broken my family. My children suffer watching their dad. And you know, it really broke my heart that my children got affected by meth. I tried my best to keep it within just me and my relatives, but when my children seen it, it broke. So in the last few months, I've been really advocating against meth and advocating for people to stand up and start fighting that battle with meth. Looking at this law for our controlled substance abuses and for meth, I would like to mention that I want to see fentanyl on here and anything else that's related to the ingredients of meth. Our law here, it explains, you know, pretty much what we all want, you know, the distributors, the drug dealers, that goes back to the banishment. If you get caught dealing meth or being a seller of meth, I think you should be banished. These people that are getting picked up for these drugs that are going to jail, I think that our tribal court system should set a higher bond on them, even if it's a first-time offense, just to make a point. So I struggled because domestic violence, a bond is set at $500. A stalking charge, a bond is set at $5,000. That doesn't sit right with me. A stalking charge is lesser than domestic violence. So why don't we lessen that stalking charge bond and set, if you're caught with meth distribution or even having it in your possession, that bond should be set at $5,000 automatically until you're arraigned. I know family members don't want to see their loved ones in jail, but with this meth issue, that's where it has to go. Because like I said in the banishment forum earlier, that you can try to get your family members help and you go to these brick roads and people tell you, well, they need to do it themselves. They have to want it themselves. Well, our criminal court system, if you get caught, you get in trouble, they can order that treatment for them, whether they don't want to go or not. So that first offense, set that bond $5,000. Prosecutors and defense attorneys, they can talk amongst the staff, but request treatment right away for people that are getting in trouble for this meth. Help them that way. I was told not too long back that majority of our traffic stops have meth. And that's really sad, really sad. I experienced with one of my children knowing that her friend was using meth. A 14-year-old girl in school using meth. You know, 10-year-olds going around being the sellers, transporting it for whoever, whatever. It needs to, this law, it's very important that it goes into effect immediately so we can start addressing that. And like I said, our court system needs to up their support also. They need to start setting them bonds high for our drug dealers and users and possession and all that. Because like I said, how does a stalking charge have a $5,000 bond on it and domestic violence is 500? I was so blown away when I found that out. So with these drug offense charges, set them bonds high. And I wish we could go as far as taking it on the medical side of it, where we could consider using meth and fentanyl, shooting up these drugs could be a suicide. They don't look at it that way, and it should be suicide. A suicide attempt when you're shooting the stuff up in your body, because it alters your mind. You do enough of it, it can cause a heart attack. People are out there getting killed every night. There was gunshots in Mission and Antelope. There still is, but now it's here in Rosebud. It's over in St. Francis. And if we don't put a stop to it, we're gonna keep losing members. And that federal government up there, they don't care about us. The white people don't care what we go through. They like to watch us kill each other. So it starts with our families. It starts with that court system. Start saving ourselves. Start saving our people. Start standing up to it. Don't be scared. I wish I would have seen more people in here regarding meth. You know, to me, these people that are not in here, I feel like they're scared. They don't want to say nothing, or they're embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed, because we're all going through it. Whether it's a relative or a friend, or even your spouse, whoever it is, we're all affected by it. So we shouldn't be scared anymore. We need to start fighting this fight. And we should be doing it as a tribe. I was watching the news, and they have ISIS going around and raising Cain with all these people, these illegals. That's just to have us focus on that so they can still keep allowing the drugs to come in. I was in a class this last couple months, and they asked about how we would protect our tribe. And I thought about Border Patrol. We have a lot of tribal members, young men. If we start correcting them and teaching them our way, we have a lot of people that can start border patrolling for us. Our own people can border patrol the dirt roads, the highways. And when a vehicle comes in and it's not from here, get that license plate number. Ask them where they're going, just like Pine Ridge did with their COVID borders. Where are you going? How long are you gonna be here? And make sure that if there's something suspicious that you feel that's not right with that vehicle, call the PD right away so they can stop that vehicle. You know how many lives we would probably save if we had our own border patrol? We would stop meth coming in. These semis come in and they probably have meth on them. That one day we were cruising through town, there was like 3 out of state. I said, gee, I wonder how much drugs are in them cars. They probably don't even know it. We don't even know it. But if we start taking a stance and say, hey, let's do these border patrols. These young men, even the young women. You guys want to fight around? Let's take that fight to our borders. Let's start protecting our people. You know? Set up them border patrols. Why do we need money to get paid to do something? Why do we have to be paid? And then once we start attacking this meth, our medicine men, we have many medicine men around here. Regardless of political, spiritual, whatever excuses they have to fight amongst each other. Bring the medicine men here to this council and have them work with you guys. Have them help find a way to get all of us to come together and start healing. Whether they can do 4-day ceremonies, so why don't they do a 4-day ceremony at that fairgrounds? Let's bring all our people together and start healing them, helping them, letting them know that regardless if you was on meth, okay, you're starting to work on getting clean, let's take you to sweat ceremony. Let's bring your spirit back. Let's help get your spirit back here. We have what I would say, we got 20 communities, we probably have 20 to 40 medicine men. They need to come together and put their spiritual politics away and start helping our people. We need to start utilizing our university for that help too. Start helping our kids become more educated. But yeah, as council, we come here, we complain to council. But when we talk about healing, where's our medicine man at? That's what I want to see. They need to come together. We all do. We all need to fight this fight. Stop looking away. Stop turning our backs. But those were the suggestions I had for that law. Thank you.
Did you have a few minutes left? Would anybody else like to say something today?
I have one more.
Anybody else before? Okay. Go ahead, Archie.
Okay, I guess as we start looking into that resolution, or is it a resolution for meth, or what is this?
So
The
today
law,
was,
right?
today was supposed to be a public hearing on a Meth Ordinance update and changes to the law, but those are not ready. We don't have the drafts back from our legal team. So what was passed out is what's current, what we currently have, but this doesn't include any of the changes. So we just wanted to have something for you guys to have your eyes on, to get you thinking, but this is not the proposed changes.
I'd really like to see like somewhere down the line where we can like refer back to that 2014-63 meth epidemic resolution and try to bring those entities back together so we can have a planning committee. And also, I know one of the biggest fails that we had back then was communication, and we were to all bring back a monthly report on anything specifically what we were addressing pertaining to methamphetamine in the community. But also, on another note too, I was thinking about fentanyl. You know, today they're putting fentanyl and methamphetamine, and I'm not too sure if like the treatment center is ready for fentanyl exposure, how to address fentanyl. It's a whole different breed of, you know, a different breed of drug that causes more chaos. Anyway, in that entity, you know, we have these entities too. I like to assure that housing is involved. The SWA Corporation, BIA, TC, Todd County. You know, I'd like to see all of them involved with within that committee that's built, so we can collaborate and express our show our information, stuff like that on what we're facing today. And I don't know if IHS can be involved in that too. It'd be really nice to have them involved in there so they can kind of speak on their behalf, including the alcohol treatment center. But back then, again, you know, a lot of our issues was communication. It was too territorial. A lot of people didn't want to, you know, give out their information per department. So basically what I'm talking about is preparing for fentanyl. I'll say it again over and over. I don't think Rosebud's ready for fentanyl. But I'd like us to start preparing, get the training. You know, I'm not here for on SW's behalf, but I do know like what it's doing to our homes. And, you know, on that aspect, I won't speak too much on it. But to send my guys into a fentanyl home, if you can imagine just touching a piece of dust of fentanyl that can actually kill you. There's no meth scientists running around Rosebud that knows how to mix it. And if they do, then I hope they watch out because we're actually losing members to fentanyl mixed with meth and marijuana. So I like Rosebud to start preparing for fentanyl some ways. I mean, actually all the way, you know, because when it hits, like 100%, like meth did in 2014, yeah, a crisis on your hands. IHS is gonna have a crisis on our hands, if they're not already, because we don't know. But another big breakdown in communication would be for, I like to see it this time around, and I say it all the time, but I like that channel 93 to be more utilized for when these are addressed, because you need a spokesperson to update the people. When gossip goes around in communities, it's really hard to keep track because people do want to know what's going on, and then people get mislabeled during that gossip process. So I think accountability for the PD or whoever to get on that channel 93 and give updated information out as it's going on, or the next day or whatever. That way, our people are not running havoc and being scared. When you hear about a killing in communities, never thought I'd be a parent of that. Adopted my child adopted the kid who was killed in the mission. But the thing about that is when it happens, you don't know exactly what's happening. You just hear about this issue and then all of a sudden these rumors start flying, so you don't know the truth. So it creates chaos and it creates an environment that you hope and you wish that ain't going, but in all reality, when it does hit, it hits, okay? So during this whole initiative to try to amend or do what we're doing here with the Meth, I'd really like to see these entities come together and then that committee or whatever it is to have a spokesperson, somebody to inform the people. I'd really like to see that. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, today was the purchase of below. Royal Yellow Hawk, Edo community, as we wrap up, I know, when we look at, tribal leaders, when they go to consultations or, NCAI, National Congress of American Indians, or TBIC, or I hear tribal leaders say they tell consultation that we stand on our treaties, but yet as tribes, we look at are we creating our laws under the treaty? Are we including things in our treaty? I know we won a lawsuit, IHS, through treaty, and it's kind of one. So when we look at the bad man clause in Article 1, there's a history in it. 2009, plaintiff was a female Native American woman who was sexually assaulted by an Army recruiter. 2008, police officer of the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation arrested a female minor accused of underage drinking. The officer reportedly sexually assaulted and took compromising photos of the girl. So we have this history of the bad man clause. And when we look at the banishment, and we look at, to me, banishment was a military term that they used. So basically, banishment, to me, when the white check it looks like out of mind. It is like out of sight, out of mind, where but banishment, not in traditional government. Banish, that was in the military, but the traditional way it was ostracized. There was 5 steps to ostracize. So briefly, Tiwai, homes, and then Tioshpaya, then Oshpaya, and then the tribal council, Nurhe Kalga, which was looked at an evil practice. But the worst is when you shame, but it's an unwritten law that nobody does, cannot bring shame to your family. Lakota Hechobshne, embarrassment leading, when somebody is embarrassed, it always leads to suicide. So when the Naja went to the house, they saw that, they asked the family why these people are taking their own lives. But when ostracized, they had these levels of trying to correct behavior, but they never banished. They always put the family out, and they watched the tribe still do their things. And then when I look at meth, real briefly, I think about the meth. If we can add in that, if we tell the attorneys to put in their history of meth. Matt Rappold once said that meth was from World War II, and they used it for soldiers to stay up. But now it's a different form today, I believe, but there's history also in that meth. And when large cities, Los Angeles, New York, whatever, they have large populations, but yet they're able to offer those facilities to help people that want to come off meth and become self-sufficient again. But you look at tribes, and tribes are real desolate. They're spread wide. There's like big, look at communities, there's big opening space where people, if tribal leaders wanted to stop meth, they can. But it would seem like tribal leaders don't want to solve meth. So I just wanted to make those comments because our tribes compared to the big cities and people looking in and they see that it would be simple because we're so spread out community-wise and population-wise. It'd be easy to get those meth under control, child. Hell, I wanted to express myself in that way, so I think the governmental affairs, there's a lot of work and that they went into doing these drafts, and it's something. Because it takes time and effort to try and reorganize the law and order culture. I give thanks to Emily and Toads and whoever the governmental affairs. I'll say that much. Law. Thank you.
We have a few more minutes. Would anybody else like to say something? Yes.
Good afternoon again. My name is Cynthia Barrow Jones, and I am really, really against meth. I tried my hardest, and I'm a parent, and I'm not in denial. A lot of these parents, they're in denial. When your daughter up there, gee, she just looks back, she's on, oh no, that's just whatever. No, that's denial. That's what we call denial. You gotta be knowing what your kids are doing and not be in denial. And I know my kids, they're not perfect. When they're on drugs, when they're drinking, I tell them, get away from me. Go over there and sober up. Come back with your right mind. When you're all right there, come back. And then we can talk. But this meth is getting bad. It is getting really bad. When you got little 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds selling meth, or they don't even know what it is probably half of the time. They ask you, you want to buy this? It's white powder. You don't know what's in that. Is it meth? Is it coke? What is it? They don't know. Oh, I don't know. My dad said to sell it, or my mom said to sell it. That goes on in our schools. That goes on in our community. All hours of the night, you see kids standing out there smoking. You see kids out there puffing something. You don't know what they're puffing on. But this meth is getting bad. It's all over. Every community, every other house. Somebody's selling something. And like I keep saying, it started with our law enforcement, our tribal councils. We can talk here, stand here and talking. Tell you guys everything, but is it gonna get done? Is it gonna happen right now? No, it's not. We've been fighting this for years and years and years. But it needs to stop somewhere, someplace. And like Phoebe said, you know what? You can go to jail for domestic violence and get bonded out for $250, or get bonded out for $1,000, and then go get thrown in jail for meth and get bonded out. Some get bonded out depending on who you are. You get bonded out for $50. Some get bonded out for $200. One of my family members went to jail. She sat in jail for 6 months, no bond. But But yet they threw this girl down here, threw her in jail, bonded out the same night. It's who you know in that police department. If you know the person in that police department or that officer or whatever, you're gonna get bonded out. But if you don't know them and if they know who you are, oh, your bond, my relative's bond was 50,000. Where am I gonna get 50,000? For something that she didn't even do. But she sat in jail for 6 months. And then when they caught the person that they were looking for, then they gave her a court date and then they gave her a bond. But they put that bond to 5,000. For what? She wasn't hiding nobody. She didn't get caught for nothing. But the person they were looking for, they charged her for aiding and abetting or hiding or whatever it is. She didn't even know nothing about it. So it's what you know and who you know at that police department. And it starts from there too. And the evidence that they take, where does it go? There's no evidence there because they took it all. But this meth problem, it needs to stop. We need to start hard and get it going somewhere because it's getting bad. It's really getting bad. And like I said, we all come here and we all tell our council reps and we tell everybody here, but it just falls on deaf ears. So, you know, I mean, we need to revive this and we need to get it going as soon as we can because this meth problem is getting bad. But that's all I gotta say, and thank you for listening to me, and I stand behind whatever you guys are trying to do. Let's get it done.
Thank you so much for your words today.
Yes.
I just want to thank everybody again for coming today. We will definitely be moving these forward as fast as we can. We have our legal team working on drafting some more appropriate language to kind of make them better enforceable and more appropriate to what they're actually, you know, what crime is being committed. So as soon as those are available to move forward, we will be bringing those forward for discussion. I'm not sure on the exact procedure. I think they're new. I think they're a new law, so they'll have to have a reading and that kind of thing. So it won't be official. It needs to be done. But I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to give input today. I just also want to correct myself. Earlier, when I gave the email address for anybody who wants to provide written comment by email, I forgot a dot or a period. So it's actually rst.comments@rst.nsn.gov. You can also submit them with any of us. Any of your council representatives can take those. The secretary's office can take those. But just please, if you have any input to help us move or any ideas to help us move it forward in a good way, just reach out. And again, thank you all. Thank you, IT. And have a good, safe weekend and happy Father's Day to everyone. Or all the fathers, I should say.
I have one more thing.
I'm so sorry, everyone. We have one more comment.
If our motor costs, if we have to search our cars and not people that come in, why can't they do that? You should think about that. You should put that in there too. Because you have to, your Wotricom, you come to a Wotricom, ours, they search your vehicle, they write your address down, everything, they take all your information. I make them search vehicles. My account is right there. Our Wotricom, I make sure their cars are searched, drugs, everything, cameras, tell them our protocols, everything. If you can come in there, you don't know, people from all over the road are coming, what they're bringing into our travel land. And if that can happen at Wotricom, that should happen any time.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you again. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a good weekend and happy Father's Day to all you dads, grandpas, and uncles. Have a good one, you guys.